gentlemen, if you would be seated, thank you. And board members, if you'd like to go down to the audience. Tonight's student showcase is from Lake Asbury Junior High. Mr. Evan Gould is the director. And I know that you're going to enjoy this.
We're missing about a third of our mixed chorus, had other plans that could not make it. They tried very hard. This is our mixed chorus. We have another choir as well, the treble choir. But we're going to perform for you today.
Wait a minute, I gotta move so I can see you. Okay.
Careful.
Is it coming up? Oh, the plug?
No, ma'am. It's right there.
Oh. If you would all please rise for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight on the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave through the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And if you would oblige us, we would like to sing you another song. And then we will honor that.
Wayfaring, 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 wayfaring. Ooh. Wayfaring, wayfaring. I'm just a poor wayfaring stranger, wandering through this world of woe. Yet there's no sickness nor danger in that bright land to which I go. I'm going there to see my father there. No more to roam. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. I know dark clouds will gather round me. I know my way is rough and see. I'm going there to see my Father there. No more to roam. I'm only going over Jordan. I'm only going over home. Wayfaring, 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 wayfaring. Ooh. Wayfaring, 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 wayfaring. Ooh. Wayfaring, stranger, stranger.
My treble choir wanted me to say, please have them come and sing too. Gotta say that.
Boys and girls, that was excellent. I see a bright future in music for all of you. And thank you, Mr. Gould. You always exceed
Yeah.
my expectations.
And through the chair, Mr. Gould, you continue to raise the bar with performing arts. So awesome job. They look beautiful tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. Guest pianist, Miss Hendry, thank you. Woo! Good work. She'll be back every first of the month. Good.
At this time, Pastor James Price from Celebration Church will lead us in the invocation and pledge to the flag.
Good, it works. Just Superintendent Davis, just thank you for what you do, for all of you, what you do. You do a great job. Listen, we know your job is tough, and at Celebration Church, on behalf of my leadership, Pastor Stovall and Kerry Weems, we're here to help because we want to help schools in Clay County. We're helping with Principal Tommy Pittman, with Treasurer Pickett, Clayton Anderson, and we're not going to stop until we're in every school. And I know there are people in here that are like, man, you got to separate church and state. And I'm like, okay, but we're not going to separate the grace and goodness of God with our students. We're not going to do it, and we're not going to stop until they're all met, okay?
Amen.
Amen. That's right. Let's pray. Father, I just thank you. I thank you for this day, God. I thank you for all these leaders. I pray, Lord, that you protect them, that you watch over them. Every decision that they make, God, is in the best interest of all of our students, best interest of the parents in this community. God, I ask you that as they continue to do that, that you would download supernatural wisdom and knowledge to them so they can make a difference, God. And I know that with everything that's going on with schools, that you would keep them safe. You would keep our children safe, Father. Keep our teachers safe and our administrators safe. And we just thank you in Jesus' name, the name above every name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Thank you so much, Pastor Price. The Clay County School Board meeting, October 4th, 2018, will come to order. Welcome, citizens of Clay County. I want to take this opportunity to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend tonight's school board meeting. This meeting is our opportunity as your elected representatives to collaborate openly and make decisions that will decide the future direction of our public schools and the education of our children here in Clay County. If you wish to address the board, there will be an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Please fill out a card, which you will find located in the back of the room. Indicate the specific item or number or topic you wish to speak about, and turn in promptly. No additional cards will be accepted once the board moves to the public comment section under presentations from the audience. Your participation is welcomed and appreciated. I just looked up. There's a lot of pink shirts in here tonight. Welcome. Okay. Next is recognitions and awards. Tools for Schools event, Clay County Education Associate Foundation. Kathy Schofield.
Good evening. I am Shonda Hosley with Clay County Education Foundation, the secretary for that organization. And we would just like to present Physicians Group Services, this plaque. It reads First Place Champion. They help to fund our Tools for Clay County Tools for Schools supply drive. It's our inaugural year. And because of them, we had buckets and buckets and buckets of school supplies, pens, papers, folders, binders, everything that you could need, everything the teachers wanted. And we literally had the teachers there for 2 hours, and each teacher went away with bags. And we thank you so much for your generosity. We're very appreciative. We have, this is Dr. Benjamin Go, he's the owner, and Dr. Michael Green. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll move to presenters. CTE Industry Certifications, Alice Polk. I want to say this. I want you all to pay attention to this because I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, well, we don't do that anymore. We don't teach vocational, and, you know, they don't know it's career and tech ed now, but they should be, everyone should be impressed of your presentation.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Studdard. I'll try to live up to that high praise. And after I speak, we actually have some business partners who are also going to reiterate some of those thoughts that you have. So good evening. My name is Alice Polk, and I'm the supervisor for career and technical education. And I have been asked to talk to you a little bit about our industry certifications. I want to start with a little bit about the history of industry certifications in the state of Florida. There's a lot of research going on now in the United States, and they look to Florida as kind of the leader of those things because we have the oldest program in the nation right now. It started back in 2007-8 with recording those informations to the DOE. We had 2.2% of our students who were enrolled in courses that could possibly lead to industry certification, and that has grown to 43% in the state from the 16-17 data that was pulled. The number of students earning an industry certification, again, started with a mere number of 803 statewide in 2007, and has grown to over 86,000 students in the 16-17 school year. The Florida DOE has included industry certifications in the high school grading formula since 2010, when we got on people's radar a little more. And in Clay County, back in 2007-8, we reported 123 industry certifications. And that year, most of those certifications came from programs like health science, where we had our CNA, our early childhood education programs, and our NCCER programs, which you'll hear a little bit more about tonight. And then we finished up last year with 2,225 industry certifications that we reported to the state. So we've had quite the jump in the 10 years.
Yeah.
When we talk about industry certifications, there are, I like to think of 4 groups that benefit from that. The first one, of course, and most important in my mind, are those students that we serve. With our students, it provides a work opportunity for them. We often get phone calls from business partners and say, hey, do you have somebody who can do Photoshop? Do you have somebody who can do InDesign? And we can say without a doubt, not only can they do it, but they're certified, which a lot of business partners are impressed with. So it gives those students an opportunity for possibly some part-time work while they're in high school or going to college. The other thing is college becomes more competitive. It gives students an edge on their college application to say, I have this certification, means that they mean business, especially in a very high competitive field to get in, like a medical field. For our families, it's going to provide articulated college credit, which is going to save them money, which I'm going to highlight in just a minute. As a CTE department, we reinvest those funds that come back to the state to pay for a student to take their industry certification, so it doesn't cost our students anything. For our schools, it helps their school grade through the acceleration component of the school grade, and students see the connection between CTE classes and the real world through those things. One of my favorite stories last year comes from a teacher at Middleburg High School. Our coaches are doing a great job. We have college and career coaches at all 7 of our high schools. And one of the things that they've been charged to do is to do the grad tracker for Mr. Connor. And one of those things that they do is they track students to make sure that they are not only on target to graduate, but they have met an acceleration at some point, whether it's through an IB class, an ACE class, AP or dual enrollment, or industry certification. And so it's become so important at our schools that our teachers are starting to own that information. So I'll never forget last year I got a call from a high school teacher about May 15th, deep into May, and he said, I've got a student who needs to take a test. And I said, Charlie, I'll tell you his name, Charlie, I said, we've talked about this. The deadline to pay for that was May 1. Budget's gone. We wrapped up the year. We've got to get these kids across the stage. He said, I know we can do it. And he said, and he doesn't have that box checked. Well, I couldn't say no to that because that teacher knew that that student needed that acceleration point, not only for that student's benefit, but for the school benefit as well. So we got the student paid, the student took his test, and he passed. So he not only walked across that high school stage that night, but he also left with a high school industry certification, which was important as well. For our district, it provides bonuses to our teachers, which is very similar, like they get bonuses for teaching IB courses, ACE courses, and the AP scores that come back, which is really nice to provide that opportunity for our teachers. And then, of course, it provides additional funding to invest back into our programs and our students. Without this, I don't know if we'd have updated labs. We'd have the software we would do and the equipment that we have. So it provides that opportunity. This is just a small sample of some of the industry certifications we offer in Clay County. I've left at your seat a business partner guide that Ms. Mosley has put together and we use when we're talking with business partners. It highlights our programs and what industry certification is tied to that program. So when we're talking to how business partners can get involved, they can kind of see that correlation as well. The interesting part about this is you see all these different titles. They are all different in how they're tested, where they're tested, what the rules are, what the cost is, and how we go about getting students registered. So it's a little different than just a state standardized test. I will tell you all these tests are tested by third parties, scored by third parties, and reported that way. So of course that is on the up and up with how they're tested and provided. You'll also notice they go from one extreme to the next, where it's about $50 a test for a student to sit for an Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, or Illustrator test, all up to $425 for a student to sit for their CDA or Child Development Associate exam. As you can see, we started in 2008 and 2009 with a little over 100 industry certifications, and we have grown to 2,225 certifications this past school year that we reported to the Department of Education. And I always get a question about that little drop in 14-15. And as you know, the Department of Education likes to change the rules and move your cheese. And so that is the year they decided to take Photoshop off the industry certification list, which is a huge certification statewide. So you'll see how that plays out here in just a minute. But you can see we continue to grow every year as we started with our industry certifications. Now, I hesitated to break this down by schools because we're not really comparing apples to apples. But I know a certain principal, Mr. Broski, who used to love these numbers when he was at Oak Leaf High School because he had a little bit of a competitive spirit in himself, like the other high school principals. But as you can see, where we just tracked the last 4 years of industry certifications. These are the raw numbers for the certifications. You can see how almost every year each school has increased those industry certifications. But to give you kind of a comparison, we can't really compare Clay High to Oak Leaf High just by looking at these numbers. But because, of course, Clay High has about 1,500 students, where Oak Leaf High School has about 2,500 students. So, of course, you're pulling from a bigger group, along with our programs that we offer at each school, which are a little individual and different as well. So. And for Keystone Heights High School, this only includes their 9th through 12th grade, since we were comparing high school numbers as well. Their junior highs are on another screen. So this changes a little differently. We're looking at annual FEFP based on our industry certifications. In other words, that bonus funding that we bring into the district. The state provides the information not as the raw numbers for the certifications, but instead in terms of FEFP money that's brought in. So if you notice, over the last few years, this is where you see that 15-16 dip. It dipped down because of the 14-15 school year. The bonus lags by almost a year to come back to the district. So that's why there's a dip that year for us. But if you look across the area, if you compare our Northeast Florida partners and neighbors, we outshine every last one of them, which I like. And then if you look at who we would consider maybe our competition or that we're closest to, or the Scambia, you have to look at, they have about 4,500 more students than we do district-wide. But we are getting really close to them and might catch them this year. But you can kind of see where every district falls kind of in our area, and then our like districts that I know we like to look at. We also have our junior high industry certifications, which have started to flourish over the last couple of years. You can see where they started in 2014-15 with just a handful, to where in 17-18 we had multiple classes worth of students who were sitting and earning those industry certifications. For the most part, those industry certifications were Microsoft Office Specialist, or MOS. The great thing about the MOS certification is it kind of hits 3 things for a junior high student. It is a high school credit earning course, so that student leaves junior high school with a credit earning course. It also checks the box for their practical arts, fine arts credit that they need to graduate. And as of last year, when they pass the certification, it also checks the box for their online requirement for graduation. So if a student takes that in junior high or high school, which a number of students take it in high school as their beginning business course, they're checking 3 boxes at once, and it's a great certification to leave high school with. So those are our junior highs. One of the things the state likes for us to highlight is the return on investment for the families. For most of our industry certifications, they have a statewide articulation agreement, which means a student can go to a Florida public college with an industry certification and receive credit if they enroll in that program of study. They can't just use it as a general elective credit. So for example, if we have students from our engineering program and our drafting program who leave with an Autodesk certification and they go enroll in a program in architectural design, they will automatically get 3 credits at the college level for that program. And so they figure that's a cost saving of a little over $300 to that family. Another example, which we have a lot of students take advantage of, is the 911 public safety telecommunicator with our St. John's River State College partnership that we have with them. Those students leave and they join a criminal justice program, and they also get 3 credits kind of waived, and they get that credit towards their college degree. And again, this is just a small sampling. It's not all of certificates, but these are just a couple of things that a lot of people like to take advantage of. In the 17-18 school year, one of our biggest growth area was in our agri-science programs. The state put out a new certification, and we have a great group of agri-science teachers who are very excited to have a new certification, and so we tested a lot of students last year in that. We also had 60 early childhood education students sit for their CDA, and we had 100% pass rates. And that is a very strenuous exam in that they develop a portfolio, they go sit for a test at a third-party station, and they have somebody actually come in and observe them teaching and working in the child care centers to then finally sign off on them. So it's a 4-year process. It's not just a one and done kind of thing. And then we also introduced a large amount of EKG certifications for the first time last year. So those were kind of our 3 biggest growth areas last year. Our biggest area will always be in business with our Microsoft Office and our Adobe products through our business classes, though. Our students are starting to be recognized in our programs nationally for our innovative ways that we're connecting with our business partners. This is hot off the press, and that's the article that's up there on the screen. It's from the Ford Motor Company, and it's actually called Elevate. I think everybody's liking to use the word elevate these days. And it's talking about our students. That's actually a picture taken at the 911 call center with the Clay County Sheriff's Department with students who have actually taken and passed the test from Clay High School, and they're being trained at that point. Cool. And this will be one of the things that we hope to be able to highlight in the spring. In April of 2019, we'll do our first NCAC, which is National Career Academy Coalition review. We haven't done those in quite a while, and so we have Clay High School Criminal Justice set to be our first group in the spring. And that's, of course, one of the big things I look for in those reviews. It's kind of like a school review, a SACS accreditation review. And again, the article was featured in the Ford Next Generation Learning promotion. With everything, we have a room for growth and ways that we can improve. Our goal for this year is going to be 2,400 certifications, so always on the up and up. Our goal this year is to decrease the number of attempts that students take, thus increasing our pass rate. We are not penalized for students who do not pass, but we do have to report that information, so it's something we can track. The second thing that's important in our office, and we've really felt a burden for this year, is to help principals in recruiting and retaining those qualified instructors. If we get them from industry, from other school districts possibly, or from colleges. We see the trend in career and tech ed, and I think we're feeling it all in Clay County. When the economy's great and people have work, they don't need to teach, and that's where we lose some of our great teachers from those industries, because they can go to industry and make so much more. So that's something we're trying to work closely with the principals with. The third point we've hit this year is the state once again has changed the software for our business programs. Required they could use Adobe, and now they've moved to the Adobe Creative Cloud version. So that is a different platform for our students and our teachers this year. Because of this change, this year we've already offered 8 days of in-service and training for those teachers to get them comfortable with the software, to have a trainer come in and test them so they can pass the test first before they're then in the classroom working with the kids. So those are our areas that we're looking for in the next year. Believe it or not, this is just one small part of what we do on a day-to-day basis. In CTE, we support about 125 teachers at 16 different junior high schools, and alternate schools. We provide professional development, curriculum mapping, resources, textbooks, equipment, field trips, advisory boards, college connections, manage our federal and local grants, and the list goes on and on. But I think we feel our most important job is to support our teachers so then they can help our students in the classroom. So thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. And they say we don't have vocational, right? Okay. Well, hey, we ought to carry these around so that when someone makes that, we can just say, would you read this? Okay. Next, National Careers in Construction Month, Christina Thomas from NEFBA. Hi.
Hi, good evening. It's going to sound like I plagiarized most of Ms. Paulk's and your opening remarks, but I appreciate it. Try to be very, very brief. But as a business partner, my name is Christina Thomas. I'm the training director with the Northeast Florida Builders Association. Okay. Florida has joined over 29 states to proclaim October as Careers in Construction Month. So I'm here tonight to celebrate the work that you guys are doing in Clay County schools, help elevate the conversations that are taking place so that people know that you guys are doing the right thing here in Clay County. I work with school districts all over the Northeast Florida area and across the state, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. Since 1973, the Northeast Florida Builders Association has offered 4-year state and federally registered apprenticeship opportunities. We currently train individuals to become licensed in carpentry, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing. Next year, we'll add a 5th trade of sheet metal. Apprenticeship training is an excellent post-secondary option that I think a lot of students don't know is available to them after they graduate. The apprentices that join our program will have full-time employment. They will get paid with one of our local 160-member contractors, one of which is here tonight. I want to thank Keith Ward from Thomas May Construction for being here to show the support. They go through the program for 4 years. They get a 5% wage increase every year. Not trying to recruit your teachers, but that's a pretty good deal. And then they do have related technical instruction classes twice a week. Florida is the only state in the nation that require apprentices that their tuition is 100% paid by their employer. So they graduate with credentials, they graduate with 4 years of income, they graduate with certifications at the state and national level, and $0 in educational debt. I want to talk about some myths that I hear. The first one I hear is they need to bring vocational training and construction back to the schools.
Oh.
So again, I want to reiterate, in Clay County, it hasn't left. And I think that has a lot to do with the leadership. So I want to thank you, Mr. Superintendent, the school board, the CTE district office, the instructors in the classrooms, and the school-based administrators for supporting this industry. I do, however, think that we can elevate the amount of conversation we're having about that. As a business partner, that responsibility is shared with our organization, and I want you to know that NEFBA is here and committed to ensuring that people know the work that you guys are doing in your classrooms. The last point I do want to make is that a lot of people feel that the construction industry is for people who don't want to go to college. That's simply not true. And I've brought David Harp here with me. He's a former graduate from Middleburg High School, and he's going to share his story about how that is completely false. But I want to make 2 other points. We are currently, NEFBA is the Clay County NCCER curriculum sponsor, and we also have revitalized the pre-apprenticeship program that we sponsor with your schools for high school juniors can get into the program. Successful completers of the program are actually dual enrolled in our apprenticeship, so they'll actually get to skip the first year of their training. This is saving their time. They get to come in and make a whole lot more money, and it's a cost saving that we can then pass on to our employer who no longer has to pay the tuition. Graduates on the post-secondary side from our program actually receive up to 27 credit hours towards a 60-hour AS degree program. It's automatic to them. That's a cost savings of several $1,000s, and it's a great option for our apprentices. So I want to thank you guys very much for this time, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to David Harp.
Thank you, Christina. Good evening.
Good
My name is
evening.
David Harp. I'm currently an electrical project manager with a company here in Clay County called IMC Construction Group. As a sophomore in high school, I got my, I started doing what everyone else was doing, right? So I trying to figure out my career path, and I took the guidance of my family, my friends, my peers, my coaches. I talked with military recruiters. I kept a high GPA. I was a disciplined athlete. And ultimately, my career started when I took an elective called residential electrical wiring. And I quickly took to this trade. I represented Middleburg High School on the state level in vocational competitions. Myself, along with 4 other of my classmates from that year, were recruited out of high school. We didn't have to go find a job. People came after us. And we, all 5 of us, went into Northeast Florida Builders Association as electrical apprentices, where we received that additional training. We got those pay increases every 6 months, which was amazing. None of my friends were getting that. And at age 22, I was a licensed journeyman electrician. At age 28, I was a licensed master electrician and electrical contractor. I currently hold a contractor's license in multiple states. I've worked on 3 different continents. I've been all over the Caribbean doing work. I was part of a disaster relief team in 2004 to Thailand after the tsunami. And all of that because of the foundation that was started in Middleburg High School and Clay County School System through their vocational training. So I currently also serve as a business partner with the Design Build Academy, which helps students get their career path started. So I just wanted the opportunity to stand before you this evening and say thank you.
Thank you. Doesn't that make you proud? I mean, congratulations to you. That is,
May I add something,
That's
Madam Chair?
that is just awesome.
We
Yes.
need to recognize Mr. Ward as one of our advisory council members for, is it Middleburg? Yeah, he's been on that committee for years, and we know we appreciate all his volunteering and all the hard work in our partnership with Northeast Florida Builders Association, so thank you.
Absolutely. Good, good, great. Thank y'all so much for that. That just flowed right with Ms. Polk's presentation. Perfect. You planned that, didn't you?
No, ma'am, but when she came up, it's just about being in sync, and they do a wonderful job pushing us to make sure we have greater access to our learners, and our students have greater access to their pathways as well. So we thank you for your commitment to the advisory boards. We thank you for your commitment to Clay County. We look forward to having a beautiful relationship continued within this school district. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, informational presentation on Clay County growth and development. This is Dr. Kemp. He is our Assistant Superintendent for Operations.
Yes, ma'am. And don't think that the career tech is over with, because after you hear this presentation, you'll see there's going to be a lot of work that's going to be taking place in the future in Clay. It is an exciting time in Clay, but as we work towards elevating Clay, you think I've been joking over the last couple of months when I've talked to you about we're going to be doing for excavating Clay as we move forward. But I've been telling you about the growth. It's an exciting time. Along with growth comes opportunity. It's also going to become some challenges for us in the future. So I asked Mr. Fossa, our coordinator for planning and intergovernmental relations, to get you up to speed on all that we know about right now and all the exciting things that are going to be happening as far as growth in Clay County. So, Mr. Fossa.
Thanks, Dr. Kemp. I kind of wanted to be on a mic so I could walk around a little bit and kind of walk up to the slide projector here. So the first slide you see here, in case you haven't noticed, Clay County is growing. These are some of the headlines. These are some of the headlines that have been coming out recently. Somebody asked me, where is the Maple Street Bakery headquarters going to be?
Mr. Fossa, excuse me, I'm through the chair. I may have to stop you. We have to use the podium. The 1982 is not working.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I don't know. Miss Piva, take it back. That's yours.
Okay.
I know it is. Miss Piva, please come get your microphone.
All right, come back. All right, so you can see some of the headlines that are here. Somebody asked me earlier, where's the Maple Street Bakery going to go? It's actually going to go in Orange Park. And you can see the picture that you see there is Governor Rick Scott, and he is finalizing the plans for the First Coast Expressway, and that's the Shands Bridge and the bridge going over. So this is coming, this is happening. As you can see over here, there's actually an article on Channel 4 about how Green Cove is going to boom. That went too far. Okay, so here is how the First Coast Expressway is going to go through Clay County. You can see right now that it is complete right here on 21. This is where sort of like where Baxley is. And from there, it's going to dive down right by Middleburg High School. It's going to end up crossing over Black Creek and then going into Lake Asbury, continuing down. It's going to go over Sand Ridge and then head west of the fairgrounds, then dive down through Green Cove, head over through the dairy property there and go behind the Reynolds Airport and then eventually over the St. Johns River.
What's the timeline for that? When do they expect that to, reach?
Well, they're supposed to start 2019. It's supposed to be done by 2025. So what I wanted to do is look at each area, some of these areas of concern to me, and I am very concerned about this. This is the Lake Asbury development, and you can see those little yellow blobs over there. These are developments that are in play. I sit on the planning commission of Clay County's Board of County Commissioners, and I went and I sat down with the economic development group and the planning, and we went line by line about every development that was coming into the county. So these are folks that have come to the county and said, we are going to build here. So there's a close look at Lake Asbury. As you can see, this is all in the Lake Asbury Elementary zone. I'm showing you that Lake Asbury Elementary is sitting at an 85% capacity now, and Shadowlawn, Lake Asbury Junior, and Clay High. These are all the developments right now that are in the Lake Asbury area. The check mark denotes that these are already underway. So we're looking at about 3,547 homes going in that area, which is going to equate to about 885 elementary students. And just for fun, you can see right here, this is Shadowland Elementary, and right over here is one of the interchanges for the expressway. Reinhold Corp has come ahead and said that they are going to build a road between here and here. They've already committed to that. And what's above it and below it? Vacant land.
Excuse me?
Vacant land above and below that connector. All right, so let's take a look at the Fleming Island and Black Creek area. Everybody thinks Fleming Island's built out, but every little nook and cranny in Fleming Island is being, right now, putting houses on it. I want to point this purple area out to you, and I'll tell you about this in a minute. So there's Patterson, Thunderbolt, Green Cove, Clay High, and Fleming Island. There's their percentages. And this is all the growth that we're looking at for Patterson Elementary School. Again, the check mark denotes that these are already in process. We're looking at about 912 homes, about 200 elementary students, and I have some other growth as well. And that other growth right over here is Edgewater, Traceland, and 315C East project. The weird thing about this, these two developments are right across the street from each other, two different school districts. So this purple area, Willow Springs, right there in the corner of 315, where it kind of goes left down by the transfer station for Rosemary Transfer Station there. I was told, I went ahead and did a little research, don't worry, that's not going to be developed for 5 to 10 years. Well, this morning, I went to the DRC, which is the Development Review Committee. D.R. Horton, in 18 months, is going to put 407 homes in that area. So, Oakleaf and Middleburg. Exactly. So here's the Oakleaf Middleburg area. You can see that most of this development is in the Tynes zone. There's one big piece up here in Argyle and a couple smatterings right here near the Discovery Oaks. So let's go ahead and dive into that. All right, looking at Argyle, 84%, and I'm not going to read them down so you can see all the different percentages that we are right now. We're in danger close for some of these right now. I tried to color code a little bit so you can see where the different developments are going to be going to school. Black indicates that that's going to be Tynes. The blue indicates Discovery Oaks. The green indicates Argyle. Arbor Mill, right up here, number 1, is going to be going to Poe. That's a big number, 3,359 homes, so about 739 kids. So that's what Clay County looks like right now if you put it all together. So I had all those different layers from all my areas of concern, and now this is my whole area of concern, and you can see it really does track along with the First Coast Expressway. Now we're going to get to the fun part. So these are called Developments of Regional Impact, or DRI. And there's 2 of them out there right now. They've been here for a while. Mm-hmm. One of them is Saratoga Springs, which is just a little bit west of Green Cove. I will get this back up. There, it's okay. My bust. All right, I get it from here. There we go. So, okay. There we go. So this is Saratoga Springs, which is a little bit west of Green Cove. And Saratoga Springs is about 4,256 homes, which is going to equate to about 936 elementary kids. But Governor's Park, right down here, as you can see, it straddles the expressway. The thing about Governor's Park is originally we couldn't do any building there until the expressway was complete. Well, they came to the Planning Commission and said, we want to change the timing on that. And we voted to change the timing on that. And then it went to the BCC, and they voted to change the timing. So they can start building right now if they want to in that area. And that's 6,000 homes.
When are they planning to build?
Well, they just got the okay to start building. We haven't seen any plans for that right now, but they've got the okay, whereas before they couldn't start till to
But you
2025.
don't know if it's a year or 2 years or
Right,
4
that I
years,
don't know. But they have the okay to go ahead and get started whenever they're ready.
Okay.
So let's take a look at the summary growth right now. Without the DRIs, and this is just my areas of concern, Lake Asbury, Fleming Island, Oak Creek, Middleburg, we're looking at about 7,500 homes, and this is the breakout of how many students that we should expect coming from that growth. This is growth that is happening. The 2 DRIs, between the 2 of them, 10,005. Just big numbers. They're unfathomable to me. So what are our options? I do want to point out one thing here. The First Coast Expressway is going to be a historic event. The last historic event we had was the Buckman Bridge in 1970. During the next 20 years after completion of that, Clay County grew by over 227%. So, yep. And so this is going to be a historic event for us. So what are our options? We can do nothing. We can sort of wait and see what happens. If we do that and do nothing, I can tell you that Argyle Elementary is going to go to about 110%. Lake Asbury is going to go to about 153%. Patterson's going to go to about 120%. Tynes is going to go to 139%, and our brand new school will go to 174% utilized. That's if we do nothing. We could hope the development slows. I had a boss, Captain Christine Carlock, and she used to say, XO, you know what they say about hope? Hope is not a method nor a course of action. And I'm like, yep, you're right. And of course, the third one is we can prepare for the future. I got the big yellow check there. And if we prepare for the future, there's 2 types. There's reactionary and proactive. Reactionary means portables, accelerated construction timetables, and very costly. Portables has really been taken off the table now, especially with safety. And it's just not the direction that we want to go. So we need to be proactive. We need to prepare now. So we need to look at alternative funding streams, and we got to start looking at them now. But, Mr. Foster, we got these things called impact fees. Won't cover it. You know, compared to the cost required to build the schools, we're going to be about $91 million short. And the thing about impact fees, they're not up front. We don't get them right now. Basically, if you collect an impact fee today, you get a kid in class tomorrow. And we need to be ahead of that. That's the part that scares me right now. So I kind of listened this morning, or earlier, when you said, I think, Ms. Stoddard, you had said that part of the charge is to drive the school system forward into the future. Well, I want to know how 2028 Clay County is going to look back at us. And this concerns me a lot. You can see, I think Dr. Kemp calls me Chicken Little because I'm running around saying the sky is falling, we've got to do something. He says, fine, you get up there and you tell the folks what's going on. So here I am to tell you about it. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Do any of the board members have any questions of Mr. Foster or Dr. Kemp?
I would just say of all the problems to have, this is a pretty good one. Glad to hear we're going to have more kids in seats. But I think as the leadership team, it's on us to prepare for that and to be proactive and not reactive. I don't think I've ever met a parent, teacher, principal who says, you know, I just really, really love having a whole section of portables at my school. I've never heard that kind of response from that. So I think that, like you said, in 2028, what is going to be the response of the community to how we prepared for what we knew was coming?
Okay. Any other board members have any comments? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Foster.
You're welcome. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Okay. Now we have our school showcase. Tonight is Ridgeview Elementary School. Heather Roche, principal. And now the whole world knows who the pink shirts are.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of trouble causers back there.
Good evening.
Thank you.
I am Heather Roche, principal of Ridgeview Elementary. I would like to introduce Judith McHugh Clark, my assistant principal in right hand. She truly is top notch, and she's here tonight on her birthday. So happy birthday, Judy. Also top notch is our faculty and staff, and a special thanks to those that were able to attend the meeting tonight. We are all so very proud of our school, and I am honored to share some of the wonderful things happening at Ridgeview Elementary. To start, I would like to tell you a little bit about our school. We are a Title I school nestled on 23 beautiful acres behind Ridgeview High. We have just shy of 100 staff members and 600 students. We're very close. We have a high transient population with 24% of our students being new to Ridgeview this year, and we welcome them with open arms. Now a few celebrations. I would be remiss if I did not recognize that we are an A school. Thank you. In fact, based on the number of points that we earned in the school grade model, we ranked number 6 in Clay County.
Cool.
And had the following areas rank in the top 5 in our district: 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade ELA, 4th and 6th grade math, and 5th grade science. We came in the top 10 in every other area.
Wonderful.
We celebrated with our students during a pep rally that Mary Bola was able to attend with us. We laughed a lot as the students taught her how to floss. Perhaps she would like to stand and demonstrate her newly acquired skills. I tried, but it truly was a great afternoon. Just as challenging as earning an A is maintaining it, and we have several strategies to do just that. Through our learning walks and intentional feedback, we are increasing capacity within our teaching staff. We have monthly data meetings to monitor student progress, specifically our lower third. Using Title I funds, we added a 4th inclusion teacher this year. 40% of our students are identified as ESC in some capacity, ranging from self-contained in our IND units to inclusion in regular ed. The addition of the 4th VE teacher better allows us to serve our ESC students. We will continue to leverage our staff and resources to the best of our ability to move student learning forward. We also have a greater focus this year on social emotional learning with our guidance counselor doing weekly classroom guidance lessons, and we are piloting the Sanford Harmony program in 2 grade levels. Continuing on, we have a full implementation of Eureka in grades K through 6, and we are loving it. We have implemented LLI in all grades as needed. Our instructional coach is in classrooms every day coaching alongside teachers and works with the admin team to determine needs. And finally, we are hosting Lunch and Learn professional development sessions, which are optional and so far have been well attended. When it comes to student data, our priority this year is increasing proficiency and learning gains in all areas. We must increase the rigor in every classroom every day. Through the PLC, we are examining student work for alignment to the standards, depth of knowledge, and rigor. As it is our first year of Eureka implementation, we will continue to monitor curriculum fidelity and learn alongside of our teachers. As administrators, we will continue to provide honest feedback to our teachers with the goal of moving the needle of student achievement. And finally, we will continue to strengthen morale among our faculty and staff. Ridgeview truly is a wonderful place to be and has many strengths. We have a strong relationship with our faith-based partner, Shiloh Church. We work hard to foster strong relationships with our families. We invite parents into our school as much as possible. We literally had hundreds of dads and visitors for Dads Bring Your Child to School Day. We pack our cafeteria on STEAM nights and awards ceremonies, and we continue to find new ways to engage our families. We have innovative schedules for professional development with our Wow Wednesday concept and a unique lunch schedule that provides for additional academic time. Our students track their own data in reading, math, and science, and we are intentional with our reward system for students and publicly recognize our staff for going above and beyond. Finally, our PTA might be small, but they are mighty, and they provide our school with much needed support. Students at our school are a part of the family and have many many ways to get involved. Our intermediate students have the after-school program with the 21st Century. They have opportunities for extracurricular clubs and academic tutoring. We have chorus, drama, robotics, safety patrol, and run walk, to name a few. Our guidance counselor has a club called First Friends, where students become ambassadors of our school and welcome newcomers to the school, ensuring that everyone at Ridgeview has a friend and feels included. Our self-contained classes partner with regular education homerooms as part of our Cougar Buddy program, designed to promote inclusion and acceptance despite the many differences each child brings to the table. Mrs. Bola was able to witness an activity with the Cougar Buddies, where a regular ed kindergarten class had partnered with several self-contained classes and were participating in a young athletes activity. Students were laughing, playing, and learning together. It truly was memorable. Here are some of our young athletes on their most recent trip to the bowling alley. As I mentioned, we work hard to build strong family relationships. Here are just a few of our families at our most recent skate station event. And a few more smiling faces to spread a little cheer Thursday night. And in closing, I wanted to share this last sweet picture with you. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but the sticky note that this little cougar is holding says, "You are amazing." Just like drops in a bucket, these little notes were left all over campus earlier this year with the goal of promoting kindness to students and adults alike. Ridgeview Elementary truly is one happy place to call home.
Good.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I say so.
I know one thing, you have a lot of spirit there. Okay, everybody who's from Ridgeview Elementary, stand up. We want to see all of you. I think you've got spirit, and y'all are doing a great job, and we are all so proud of you. And I have to recognize the youngest member. That is one well-behaved babe.
And
Very good.
Through the chair, I have to say it's very hard to come into a school mid-year as a principal. It's very hard to do because systems and processes that you've established, you do not own. So, you know, when we went to find someone to go to Doe and find someone to take the place to continue the momentum, Mrs. Roche has been a rock star in this work. And I would tell you, it's hats off to what you do, and thank you. But more important, I would say this. For the staff, it's not easy either to have a new principal come in that could disrupt some of the work. And I can tell you, you have a partner in your school every day to help you evolve and enhance your craft. So thank you for being here. First time I had this many faculty here from one school in the showcase. Maybe a challenge now, but nonetheless, thank you for what you do. And it's very difficult to maintain an A, especially when you go from a C to an A to an A. Extremely. It speaks to culture, it speaks to expectation, and it speaks to rolling your sleeves up and working with kids every day. So my hat's off. Thank you.
And I'll get on my soapbox. I'm always talking about teamwork and everybody working together. I see a Ridgeview family here, and you're supportive of each other. I can feel it, the excitement. And my hat's off to you. I'm amazed. Like you say, you've raised the bar. Other schools, they're going to have to go some to get this many people here.
That's right. So through the chair, tomorrow, none of you have kids tomorrow, so don't worry about it. I take care of that for you, for being here. The microphone doesn't work.
Okay. This is the last call for cards. Is there anyone else who would like to fill out a comment card? And I will give the Ridgeview faculty and staff a chance to leave, although I know you hate to miss this interesting board meeting. I know the people at home cannot hear me, but if y'all know someone who's trying to watch this meeting on TV, you might tell them it's not our fault. It's the fault of Comcast. But as I understand it today, the county commissioners are voting on a contract on Tuesday, And after that, it is on Comcast to get their act together and make it so that we can be seen and heard. It seems like we're either seen and not heard or heard and not seen. And tonight we're nothing. We're just hope people turn on their computers. So anyway, it's not our fault. We've heard that every month for the last several months, but now it's reality. Tuesday's the county commission vote, and after that, it's all systems go for Comcast to get their act together. So that's my speech. Oh, and before I forget it, I don't want to forget this at the end of the meeting. We need to have about a 5-minute executive session after the board meeting tonight. Okay. All right. No more cards, so I will call the first public comment. Stella Nans, I think. Did I say it correctly? No, ma'am. Nanes? You're getting, I'm getting close? Okay. Well, if you'd state your name and address, then I'll know how to say your name. Thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay. My name is Stella Nanes.
Names.
Like name, but with an N.
Oh,
instead.
name.
Yes.
Oh,
Names.
okay.
Nanes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I actually emailed you, all of you, when I'm saying, so if you'd like to follow along, I know I'm a visual person. So today, and my address is on file. Today I'm speaking in order to have in the public record my personal experience regarding the budgeting of allocations, specifically for support staff. In March of 2018, the district put forth a budget for approval by the school board that included a decrease of more than 50 support personnel, with the majority being classes that provide ESE services. It has come to my attention and confirmed by a school board member that the approval of these allocations was based solely on class size. And this is supported by a document provided to me by Terry Roth called Formula for Allocations in Elementary Schools, which outlines the ratio of teacher to student for positions ranging from principal to gifted teachers to teaching assistants in self-contained classrooms. I find it troubling that IEPs are not taken into consideration when approving allocations, especially since the IEP drives services. I also find it extremely irresponsible to use a formula as a sole factor to determine allocations instead of letting the IEP determine services. In fact, it is a violation of IDEA. There are requirements for reevaluation that need to take place prior to modification of services. And some of these requirements include informed parental consent prior to reevaluation, review of existing evaluations and data, including information provided by the parent, current classroom-based assessments and observations by teachers and related service providers, identifying the present levels of academic achievement and related developmental needs of the student. And these must all be done to determine whether any additions or modifications to the special education and services are needed to enable the student to meet the measurable annual goals set out in the IEP and to participate in general curriculum. I asked the district representatives, in particular Terry Roth, Michael McCauley, and Edison Davis, to provide this information to me so I may be prepared for an IEP meeting they suggested take place. However, they did not. They could not provide it because no data was ever collected at all. For this reason, I declined the IEP meeting. The decrease in services was decided based solely on the class size instead of student needs, as mentioned before. Now, some may say that services did not change, but I challenge the idea that 2 adults can provide the same level of adult-led instruction as 3, never mind the fact that the class size increased by 4 students. And some may say that I signed the IEP, so I must agree with it, which is true, I did sign it, but I signed it with the information on the IEP with 3 adults in the room. So just to be perfectly clear, IDEA was violated in the following ways. I received no notice of meeting. I did not sign consent for reevaluation. No data was collected to determine if my son would maintain the same level of performance with a decrease in staff, and no IEP meeting took place prior to the decrease in staff. Now, I am glad to say that 2 weeks ago, there was a 3rd additional person added in. So my goal today was simply to bring the serious violation of IDEA to light so that requirements are met next time a budget is brought for approval by the school board, especially services driven by this IEP plan, which is a legal document used to determine student services, including support staff. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next card is Michelle Gibson. Yes. You'll speak 3 minutes and then he will have 3 minutes. But if he wants to stand by you, that's okay.
We don't have a.
If you would state your name and address for the record,
Yes, that's
thank
right.
you.
I'm Michelle Gibson. I'm at 2920 Florence Drive, Middleburg, Florida.
Okay.
We don't have anything prepared today. We just wanted to come up and wanted our face to get known so we could come this year for several of our meetings. We're here today. We're wanting some services on our IP to be put into place for not only, we have services, but we had to fight for them, and they are not at most of our schools, most of our elementaries, and they were not at junior high. We're talking about my son is dyslexic, and apparently there was only one dyslexic at the school that he was at. They let that teacher go. So therefore, the school that he is at now, they are having to train the teacher that he is at. So we have lost the whole 9 weeks for them to train another teacher for him to have this service. I am grateful that they did bring it to it, this program, but however, 70 to 80% of the kids that have a reading problem are dyslexic. Nobody knows about the Barton. Clay County can fix this problem. Jack will tell you his personal struggles with reading. Jack will also tell you where he's at this time and what it means to him. I can tell you about it, but it doesn't mean anything to me. This is very hard for him because dyslexics do not speak in public. Okay. So if he may, that's about all I have. I wanted you to see my face, but I'll be back with a speech.
What school is he at, please?
He is at Lake Asbury Junior High right now.
Okay.
He just sang in chorus.
Oh, you were in the okay.
But let's be mindful of student protection, so don't ask address
Oh,
or anything.
right.
Thank you. I am going to ask him questions because he is almost paralyzed for speaking. So if I may ask him questions.
Certainly.
What does the Barton mean to you? Speak over here, babe.
Well, in my personal opinion, that it helped me what to do today and what I got through.
You mean singing?
Mm-hmm. And if I didn't have Barton today, I'd probably be in the first grade level instead of higher. And just happy to be in it, meet other kids who have dyslexic, and hope we can get it out there and help.
Do you want to be here today speaking and help? Do you have a problem speaking to them? First of all, let me say this. Do you have a problem speaking to them or the people behind you?
A little bit.
A little bit of both. But you want people to know, or do you? This is just very hard for him, first of all. And are you grateful? Are you grateful for having it in the schools? And do you want? What is your hope for the Barton? Is for you to continue it on through high school? And are you afraid that they're going to take it away? Because they already have once, by the way. They have already taken this away from him once. And are you afraid that they're going to take it away because of funding? And that's what we have talked about. Are you afraid that they're going to take it away?
Yes.
And that's what we're basically here for. As you can see, he went from a kindergarten reading level now on a 5th grade, which for a dyslexic is wonderful. This program needs to be out there, guys. This isn't only for the people who request it, but it needs to be the first thing. It needs to be on our IEPs. It needs to be on the first page. This isn't a specific learning disability. It is dyslexia. So please allow this for more schools, not just one.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
And thank you.
Good job. Good job tonight. Yeah.
I'm not, we usually don't respond to speakers, but I want to know, can you give us
I
the
can speak
Reader's
to it.
Digest condensed version of what is the Barton?
So my understanding is that, first of all, I got it, Ms. Gibson. If you want to speak, you can. Yeah. I want to make certain they're talking about Barton Spelling program, the Barton Spelling program that helps students with multisensory and uses all the senses to bring words and sounds together. So I've used it in my former life. I've seen great results with it. So, if it becomes to a part where there's definitely a need within the school district, Mr. McCauley and Ms. Roth fully understand the IEP process drives everything that we do, including staff and allocation. So if it's a part where there's definitely a need internally for a student to help them, especially in the area of dyslexia, then we will go out and make certain that we initiate this curriculi and at the same time train individuals to provide the services to every learner. So I'm excited that that your learner has had and found a pathway to be successful, and we will continue this effort.
Okay, and I guess I could ask you, but you may have to ask Mr. McCauley. Is this Barton thing in more than one school?
So I would say through the chair, the answer is yes. It's based on student need, and it's a tier 3 approach for students. So it's it's throughout the school district where students may need to be exposed to it, and it's been a proven research-based model to help students improve academically.
But the teachers have to be trained.
It's no different than any curricula. They have to be trained. Yes,
So
ma'am.
this student was 9 weeks without any teacher, it sounds like.
Yeah, through the chair.
Which is 9 weeks is a long time.
Yeah, through the chair. I can't speak to it. It's just first time ever bringing to my attention. So yeah. Yep.
That are on IEPs at Shadowlawn Elementary, and they said that their kid, 1 in 3rd and 1 in 4th, their kid was too old to do the Barton.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I would say this through the chair. Ask those parents to reach out to me, and I'll problem solve.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to stop the back and forth. Okay.
I appreciate it. No,
But I appreciate you bringing this to our attention, because I'll be honest with you, I'd never heard of the Barton. But I appreciate you coming. Okay. That's all of the public comment cards. Next, we have the adoption of the consent agenda. Item C11 was. This has been pulled to discussion. It's moved down. But I looked down a while ago and there was a C7 down here on the, okay. All right, I'm seeing things. Okay, we're going to do it this way then. Since the consent agenda has already, Ms. Names, since the consent agenda has already been approved and this item was not pulled to discuss.
No, we haven't approved it.
We haven't approved the consent. Okay. We want to hear you. Ms. Names, this is on C7. Nothing like being confused. I'm so used to seeing it on public.
Ms. Studdard, it's actually Nanes, N-A-N-E-S.
Okay.
Yes,
All
thank
right.
you. I don't have a long speech.
Hey,
prepared
we'll
for
get
this
it.
one.
I'll get it together.
Okay. I want to talk to you a little bit about the Keystone Behavioral Contract that you are going to vote on. My son is ASD diagnosed. So I do and have been doing and continue to do a lot of research on behavioral companies within the city. And I'm really concerned that Keystone is the very best that Clay County can offer for any kind of behavioral supports for students, specifically if you're going to do it with students that need a one-to-one para. And I don't know what other companies you may have researched, but there are a lot of other resources in the city that offer much better services. So that's kind of all I wanted to say. I was shocked to see Keystone on the list, actually. So if you could just take the time to research it a little bit more, I know that you can find something better. Thank you.
Okay. Now, adoption of, did you want to say something? Okay. Now we're to the adoption of the consent agenda. Item C11 was pulled. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
So the motion is to approve
The
with the
consent
exception of C11. Okay. Have a motion by Ms. Carrica, second by Ms. Bola. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Okay.
Don't forget to vote, Mrs. Stoddard.
Excuse me?
Mine
Don't
just
forget to
popped
vote.
up.
Maybe hit
Did we just,
refresh.
oh, I didn't vote. I was thinking about Rena Lee coming up to speak. We're giving Ms. Paiva a hard time tonight.
I'm
I was
worried,
sitting
I'm
here
worried they're
think-
going to turn her microphone off.
I was sitting here thinking, what is she going to talk about tonight?
I'm not getting a voting box. Oh, I found it. It's here.
Okay. Send us Ms. Bola. Have you voted yet?
Yes.
Okay. It'll come up
We
in a
get the
minute.
verbal.
Okay. All right, we're good now. Next is the CCEA update, Ms. Rena Lee Paiva. Did she bring that mic
Giving me a
up?
hard time tonight.
Yep. Yep.
Renlee Paiva, president of the CCEA. I'm going to talk about, first of all, first book. October 19th is the setup. October 20th is our event, first book event. For those who don't know, this is the second time that we have sponsored. What?
I do not have the button.
I see 1 second. I'm looking at it going, what's up with that? All right.
It's a conspiracy.
So,
Ms. Piper, you said the 19th is the setup, and what is the date?
The 19th is the setup. The 19th, we will have a tractor trailer coming in sometime in 10 o'clock in the morning to 12.
That was a fun day.
That's our
What day's the real thing?
And the 20th on the Saturday is the real day at Green Cove Springs Junior High from 9 to 4. We have put some restrictions on this year because we learned a lot. We learned a little lesson last year when we had like 2,000 people and we had no more books. So this year we are going to have 10 book limit. So every child must be accompanied with an adult, you know, so they can help pick out the books. That's the whole point of it. And each child will get a tote bag that the CCA will give them, and they can pick their 10 books that they want to take with them. And it is free. We're bringing in 40,000 books, and Mr. Davis bought $9,000 worth of books, so that gave us a little bit more, around 2,600 books, and thank you very much to Mrs. Widdowson, Cheryl Brown, Heather Weaver, and Jennifer Umbar, because they spent the whole time picking out custom-made books, because we try to get to the real little ones, because those are the ones that go fastest.
Right.
So it was subsidized.
Cool.
We are extremely proud. These bringing 40,000 books in is done by AFT, which is the American Federation of Teachers, which is a national union that we belong to. We belong to both national unions, the NEA and the AFT. So when people say, you know, what does the unions do? This is what we do. You're the heart and soul. Kids are the heart and soul of what we do. So we're very proud. With 42,000 books and 40,000 books, that means we're bringing into Clay County 82,000 books in 2 years. It's very unusual for First Book, who also underwrites it with AFT, to even allow a county to do it 2 years in a row. So we did flop like a fish and say, look, because I felt so terrible last year. You can ask Mr. Davis. I felt horrible. I never, ever, ever. Well, Mr. Davis, I don't know if you all know, but after an hour, when we had about 10 books left, he goes out the back, Jack.
Well, through the
He's
chair,
gone.
there was hundreds of people
Yeah,
outside.
and
There's
you don't
no
even
way
see him. He
I was
jumps
going to be
in
in
his
that
car
room.
They
and
were
leaves me.
across.
I had
the front
somewhere
of
to
the
go, Miss
school,
Piva.
and
Yeah, somewhere to go.
And there were no books.
So we are extremely excited, and we're hoping that when we opened it up for unlimited books last year, I really did talk to every county. And Leon County is a bit bigger than us, and they had 8,000 books left over. So I was real cocky, like, oh, take what you want, bring in truckloads, I don't care, and stunned. We had people with suitcases, and they took me literally. So anyway, we're very excited. We will have our yellow T-shirts. We're asking our teachers to take a personal half day to come and help us. This year it's going to be, Mr. McCauley, you better get ready because it's going to be extremely hard. Last year they were containerized in cartons and they all had the same book, like there were like
Right.
50 of the same book. This year it's mixed bag.
Oh, no.
So all the cartons are coming in and you can have kindergarten. So we need a lot more people to help us
Why are they
sign up.
doing it like
It all
that?
depends on, this is underwritten also by Disney. Every book that comes in is a Disney book, and Disney owns tremendous many book companies. They're just not, but all the books that are done. So sometimes they have all these books that are left over, and they just throw them in a carton, and that's what they send out. So we have to level them, and our teachers know how to level, and I know lots of administrators know how to level. We're really good at it. They can sit there and get the book, but it's going to be a whole long time. We also have Mr. Dieters. We call him Dog Dieters from Green Cove Springs. He spends the night because that's a requirement.
Right.
Those books cannot be left by their own. And I did ask Mr. Davis in an email today to make sure the Green Cove Police Department knows that there is actually one of us in there, that's holding down the fort, and don't think that somebody's breaking in.
Tell Mr. Dieters he's not allowed to wear that T-shirt.
He has, not only does he have
that
a T-shirt,
big
he has a
orange
big
shirt with a big
Tennessee-
T on it.
Yeah, Tennessee blankie that he has, and he's
and
be sleeping in
everything.
that. So that, that's our really huge thing for us. I am so appreciative. We not only are giving out the books, we also have got thousands and thousands of children identification kits that we give, so children are fingerprinted and all that stuff, and parents can pick up the identification kit. We also have journals coming in. We have 400 Spanish journals coming in, and they're like, oh my goodness, I didn't mean to send all those Spanish, so they're sending double English versions, because I said, oh, that's nice, but I need some of that. We have bookmarks, teachers for the students. We have it in Spanish, we have it in English, and we have it in Haitian coming in. So we have bought that. We will, make sure everybody's fed and everything, and we'll do that. Our brothers and sisters of CESPA are also, Teresa's not here tonight, right? So we're going to bus in again from the outlying, our Title I schools. They're coming in the back door. We're going to have the buses go at 8, so they'll actually arrive a half hour, because that was the other thing. We had turned buses around last year.
That's it. Those
'cause we
buses
ran out
were
of
turned
books.
around and told to go
And I'll
back
tell
'cause we
you,
ran out of books.
I know parents were upset. Nobody was more upset than me.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I was totally caught off guard. I'm not going to be caught off guard this time. So I've got with Mrs. Halter, and, we're going to put them in the bus loop. We're going to bring them in the back door. We're going to take 2 rounds coming from the Title I schools of buses in there. But I think with the 10 book limit, I think we're going to be good. I'm not worried about extra books, because I do have a plan B if we have books when it gets to about 3 o'clock. So, but I ain't saying it, because I want the people of Clay County to have books. And our parents and our kids are starved of books, and that was very, very obvious. And I will say one thing. I was brought up very poor. And I was talking to my directors about it the other day, because they had books. I didn't have any books in my house. You couldn't find a book. My parents had 4th grade educations. And I can remember when I was in kindergarten, my father got Encyclopedia Britannica, and they got a 10-book bonus that you could have like crafts. One whole book was history,
Oh, I
one was
remember those
crafts and all
books,
that.
yeah.
I don't know if you're old enough to remember all that.
I had it.
Well, my brothers and I thought it was, we just thought it was Christmas. And I think my parents spent 2 years paying that off to have that. That was the only books in our house in my entire elementary years.
That's amazing.
So that's why I really have a passion for this. Listening to the presentation that comes from, Dr. Kemp's groups today, on the development, somebody better tell Talking Clay Politics, because we're booming. And there's no way of stopping it. We're a mid-sized county right now, and you're going to blink your eyes, and you're going to be a large county, and with large problems, which means, a busing, and they're not problems, they're good problems. Like, Mrs. Gilhousen said, these are good problems. We want people in Clay. We want to boom Clay, and I'm just flabbergasted. This is the highest we've ever been. We have 2,672 teachers, because a certain school got a kindergarten class, new kindergarten teacher. But we won't talk about that, will we, Mr. Davis?
No, ma'am.
No. And then, and out of those teachers, 107 teachers are brand new. Never taught a day in their lives. 107 brand new, which adds to our discussion about salary lag. Oh, never mind. We'll get to that later. And we had a turnover of about 300 teachers. That's normal. And that's how frightening teaching is. When I entered this profession, nobody left it. We had a vision of this being ours, and now in a 5-year period, we turn over 50% of our faculty. And it's just the instability of teaching in the state of Florida. And I've spoken to you guys 6 years about this, and we really, really need to pay very close attention, because that is going to be a problem. Not only all these children, which isn't a problem, the problem is we have to staff. You have a problem because you have to build schools, and the CCA is concerned on how we're staffing it. The type of teachers, keep the quality. We're a professional organization. We run, PD with Mrs. Moeller over there, who's always been so gracious to us, and we really want the best for Clay County. I thank you tonight for the printers, because I don't even know if you realize, but you just passed printers in Clay County. Yay for teachers, because our personal printers are on the way, because, and hats off to our teachers. Been 9 weeks, and there's been a whole lot of them that haven't had printers. And I tell you, hats off to Jeremy also, because I know he's worked so terribly hard to get this done, and it's not easy to leave one company and pick up another. This is the partnership, and I really have a lot of respect for these people. I'm happy that the print center is not only staying, but going color. Whew, I can't stand it. So we are just booming all over the place. Now, tomorrow is virtual planning day. So thank you, CCEA. Thank you, the contract. Mr. Davis is still trying to understand how we ever got 3 days of virtual planning. We're the envy of the state, but that's what happens when you have no money. Can't bargain money, you bargain language and time, because that's all we had. My last thing, Mr. Davis, is I'm going to leave you with, please explain to the parents and the teachers, because my phone is tired, the math adoption and how that happens, because you advertised on the website and on Facebook about, come and take a look. So all the teachers and all the parents are out there going crazy thinking you're adopting the math and we haven't seen it. So if you could explain that process when I'm done. But I am now done. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So through the chair, good job, Ms. Paiva. At the end of the day, we usually go and provide, pockets and go around the community to allow community members to review the adoption process. And that's what we want to make certain that, stakeholders are involved, so they're able to review, vet, and provide any feedback to us as a district to determine what our next steps will be. So to be openly and honest, we, under the last 22 months, we've been on the road every time we've, had some adoptions, and we had very little turnout. So what we're trying to do is just for our community members to open it this month and also next month from 5 to 7. It's in the lab, so they can circulate and look at the K-12 adoption process. Teachers know it's coming to you for you to review as well, and you'll have stake in it as always. That process will not change. We're just trying to find another strategy to see if we can have an increase increase of eyes put on this print, because it's extremely important that we get it right and we make sure that we have a math curriculum that really helps our students critically think and moves the needle as it relates to mathematical practices. So stay with us. This is just another part of the vetting process, and hopefully we'll be able to come out if you haven't had a chance to do it this evening. Next month as well, it'll be in the lab at the TTC from 5 to 7. Thank you, Ms. Nostra Paiva.
And next is CESPA update, and Ms. Dixon isn't here. Is there anyone here to speak for CESPA? Okay. Next is the superintendent's update and presentations.
Okay, so I had a PowerPoint. I don't have a clicker, but I can throw it to me. So this month, I'll talk about Mr. Connor. So my superintendent's updates about October, and October is an exciting month for so many different reasons. And so this month I'll talk about discussing October as Bullying Prevention Month. I'll talk about identifying upcoming priorities for Clay County, and then talk about and then acknowledge the champion of change within Clay County School District schools. As I said, this is a really important month for us and throughout our nation, where it's all about prevention awareness for bullying. And please note that while we'll highlight this as under the umbrella of October, know that this is a initiative that we will focus on each and every single day in Clay County District schools. We will work to prevent bullying every single day in order to provide a psychologically safe place for every one of our learners. As relates to, we talk about bullying, and we have so many different misconceptions of what bullying actually is and how we define that. So I want to make certain that we spend some time real fast to really define what bullying is, where it's an unwanted aggressive behavior that involves a real power and shift of influence for one individual to another. You need to understand that bullying is a behavior that is repeated or have the potential to potentially be repeated. And while we may say that we frequently say, and my child as well, that today I received an action of bullying against me. And I go back the next day and say, did anything happen? And the following day, did anything happen? And if the incident happened in an isolated event, it is not truly defined as bullying. But I will say that that action has to be and should be addressed as outlined in our Code of Student Conduct, because it's unacceptable. But really, when you look at bullying, it is a behavior that is continued behavior that is repeated and undesired for for students within our school district. You need to know that there are certain areas that we look at when we talk about bullying. Bullying is a repeated effort that really happens more than once, or potential to happen more than once. It's really intentional, where it causes fear, disharm, or distress to others. And it's also the really main part of it. It's a power of imbalance, in the sense that is such as whether it's a physical imbalance, whether it's an opportunity for one to using embarrassing information, and how social media, crawls and it just grows legs within the community. And it's really drilled to really, embarrass or cause harm to one, whether that be physical embarrassment or also emotional embarrassment. As it relates to what Clay County School District is doing for this month, we're doing a lot of activities to really embed and incorporate social and emotional learning within our daily schedule within our school district. We are really making certain that we are really focusing on training how our administrative staff, along with individuals at the school level and district level, how to really take on new procedures for the investigative process. This means that we are really using training for how to investigate. We are looking at how we continue to engage the parent or guardian for awareness about how to be able to prevent, acknowledge, and share. Looking at looking at appropriate disciplinary procedures to make sure that we are taking the right procedures in our schools to address this undesired behavior. And then really focusing on our follow-up services related to students affected, additionally as it includes to the Hope Scholarship process. This month, you'll see a lot within our school district as relates to reaching out to the community, teachers and staff, and district level. We will be pushing out information for October 24th, which is about information about Unity Day, which we will celebrate for engagement. We will also push out to our schools activities and lesson plans centered around Bullying Prevention Month, how they can embed that within their class lessons, and we will have resources available to our teachers as well. And then we will really look to make certain that we launch and push flyers out to every one of our schools, which launched our new bullying hotline, which I'll talk about here in a minute, and then defining what bullying actually is in the school district. As relates to bullying hotline, this is a new initiative we just launched within our school district weeks ago. And the purpose of this is for individuals to be anonymous, to push information to the school district so we can immediately start the investigative process of where bullying may have occurred in our school district. This will be covered by staff from 7 in the morning to 3:30 in the afternoon, and it will be accessible 24/7. So if in the evening where it's not covered by staff, you know, parents or students have the availability to go and, leave a voice message for outside of operational hours of the school district. And then we will pick that up the next school day, and we will really push that to it. We will log it. We will push it to the school, which will initiate an investigative process. And the good thing about this, we can no longer just accept, we're not just going to accept the phone call or, talk about bullying. We're really going to start tracking where we see pockets and trends of bullying within our school district so we can address it from a professional manner. And when we push that out to the school, it's the school's responsibility to investigate, and then the school has to push that information back to the district level and upload it in a database so that we can really identify what's happening, what's occurring, and what steps we can take overall. So be able, if you feel as students or parents there's some issues within your school that's repeated, please call 904-336-6799, and we'll be there to extend our arms and our hands to be able to help you and assist you through the process so you can come to the school with disruption-free every single day. Also, we talk about upcoming priorities within our school district. One thing you'll see is that we will work in the next month to launch a strategic plan this about how, I say a game plan, we already have a strategic plan, a game plan about how to become a top 5 school district in the state of Florida. That is really instrumental in the way that we follow a blueprint in order to be successful, and that's going to be directly wrapped around what we do from the instructional process. We will then, within the next 30 days, be releasing a strategic plan update to the entire community about how well we, what we accomplished within our goals and what our next steps will be. We will start community connection videos and podcasts for our community as well, so that you can really start being engaged in that process. And we will look at multiple facets of the organization to really have 360 accountability and have greater informational flow throughout our school district. We will look at new school improvement processes within our school district. We will work diligently with the new staff that we have under Mike McCauley's shop to really define what a social emotional priorities will take place within every one of our schools, and launch that so that teachers can have immediate opportunities to understand next steps for our students. And then at the end of the day, we'll look at making certain that we start to engage school leaders on upcoming choice programs for 1920, so that we can continue to provide attractive programs for our school district. And then we are going to revamp the school-based evaluation system related to administrators only. This is about how to make certain that administrative evaluations are more aligned to the principles and standards by the state of Florida. And then we will look to push with the school board our legislative priorities within our school district. So lots coming up in Clay County, a lot to happen as you saw the growth. Thank you very much, Dr. Kemp, along with Mr. Fossa. We do have areas we have to address, and we have to be prepared as an organization. As it relates to Champion and Change, I'll come down here and announce these individuals, and we'll turn it back over to Ms. Sutter. I would use Ms. Potter's microphone, but it doesn't work. Have money for batteries, I guess. I don't know. So we'll put this on. Through the chair, every month we identify champions of change, individuals that really go over and beyond the call of duty and really reflective of their practice in Clay County District Schools. And for me, it's really important that we take a moment to celebrate individuals when great work takes place. And for me, we have individuals that presented tonight. When I reorged the CTE department, there were some questions about, can we continue the great partnerships that we have? Can we continue to accelerate this entire division? And I'm thankful that the board trusted in me to make that happen and make that occur, because I can tell you we have soared in the last school year. We see that over $11 million in financial money was saved as students continue to take acceleration courses, and that's savings to the families for tuition and college, tuition and costs for college. And you'll see that we provided a really anchored pathways and accelerated pathways to every one of our learners. That's really more intentional versus putting kids into certain opportunities to be successful. We see that our industry certification in the last 21 months have increased from around 1,600 to now to 2,225, which is a significant increase, which is a great exposure to our students to allow them to compete inside and outside of our classrooms. We see that the surrounding counties, we do outperform surrounding counties as it relates to the number of industry certifications that have been identified and received within the school district. And we see that an increase of accelerated opportunities, not only in high school, but in junior high school as well. And we see that we have a lofty goal this year of 2,400 industry certifications. And we see that, these two individuals, when we talk about champions of change, they do more than just, look at the numbers. There's internships, externships. There's an opportunity for tours to take place. I think we're going to VATCon in Fleming, in Green Cove. We're taking 70 students to really see and walk over the fabrication of what they're doing. So we're doing great work, and these individuals are really doing great work with identified curriculum, training teachers. And without them, I would say that we would not be able to be successful. And you saw the new publication that Clay County's highlighted in. It's because of the work that these two young ladies do in our county, and the support that they provide to every one of our teachers, 125 of our teachers. So it is my pleasure to announce my champions of change. The first one is Miss Alice Polk. If she'll come up, let's give her a round of applause. And I'd be remiss to see, Miss Kelly Mosley as well. She does great work. If you'll come up, these are my two champions of change. I thank you for what you do, and I appreciate your efforts. Gonna need a swag bag for
We want to know what's
Nostra
in them.
Paiva last month. So thank you for what you do, and we appreciate it. And for the public, just to set the record straight, I will tell you openly that every staff allocation plan that we create is only the foundational model of what we create, what we give for schools. Any additional pathways, academies, or programs that are added, we add that based on the need of our learners. And as it relates to the IEP process, that drives everything that we do for phase 2 of add-ons to our system. So, we're doing and working hard every day for our kids, and we'll continue to do so. Thank you.
That's it? That's it. Amazing. He's beating his record here. Okay. Next is Human Resources Special Actions A. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Kirikas, second by Gilhousen. Okay, by Ms. Gilhousen. I think I got y'all at the same time, so we'll take turns. Okay. Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Next, D2, public hearing to approve as advertised proposed amendments to School Board Policy 2.36, firearms and chemical weapons. I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board on this topic? Then I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Have a motion by
Take
Ms.
your pick and
Condon,
bake it.
second by Ms. Garrikus. Okay. Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say no. Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Next is C11. This was pulled from the consent. Proposed allocation changes for 2018-2019, pulled by Mrs. Studdard. So I guess I'll start on this. I really just wanted to talk to the board about this because there were some things I had some concerns about, and I didn't know if I was all out by myself and I told Mr. Davis today that I just wanted to have some discussion about it because the majority of the board rules, and I want to see what y'all are thinking about this. And on some of the allocation changes that are here, I've got some concerns about. Number one, I'd like to know how you feel on the executive director from the Education Foundation. As I understand it from the superintendent, Ms. Schofield is no longer going to do her magic with the STEM and the grants and so forth, and so they've got it on the agenda for us to make an allocation for executive director of the Education Foundation, and this would be, hang on a minute, counting the benefits, 92,640. Let's see, 92,646, and I didn't know. Number one, I'm not sure. Do we want to do an allocation for a school board employee for this position, or do we want to do a contract and hire someone to do this position? And also, I think, let me see, I'm just looking here to see, what was the actual salary? The 92,646 includes benefits. It's 70.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Legato.
So I can say it through the chair. I can answer it. It's around, I think the salary. So first and foremost, the reason that I brought this to the board is you are correct. The fact that the current leadership in the Clay County Foundation is going to tip their hats and thank you for the time that they've given us. We are greatly appreciative. And I brought this, and I was very clear in the I thought I was, sorry if I haven't been, in the agenda review that talked about how the bulk of counties in the state of Florida use this position as an executive director or higher. Actually, they have 83% of the 60 counties that have a foundation use in the title of an executive director. For me, I explained that this position was going to be a director 3, which is our lowest director 3 position on the scale that I inherited as a superintendent 21 months ago. And so for me, I just was bringing it what was recommended by and aligned to what the state of Florida was actually using this foundation. In this time, I explained that while the bulk of the state uses this model, the salary is between $70,000 to $100,000 for an individual to go and do this work. For here, I believe the position in a director 3 would be around 66,706.
I found it. It's 70,455 salary plus 22,191 benefits for a total of 92,646. 70,000. Say 70,500.
Yeah, so through the chair, it's going to be around $66,700 and around $700. So in just a minute. So at the end of the day, that's currently is where the starting point for me. It's the will of the board, and if the board decides that they want to move this to a different scale, I'm fine with this. I just need somebody to go help me with this work if we have current leadership on the board that's transitioned out, so that we can get in and get this work rolling. So, and as you see, there's a number of issues with the salary schedule that relates because a supervisor 2 and a director 2 are the same starting salary and so on. So there's a lot of work that has to be addressed and fixed within this schedule. But I'm open to the board's direction, whichever direction you wish to move forward with. I will, and we just need somebody to help us with that process. Dr. Legato, through the chair, and am I wrong at 66,705? Because that was the number that we've had conversations about.
Through the chair, the beginning salary for a Director 3 is $66,605.
With no experience.
With no experience. I want to clarify on the allocation document what we have practiced before. If this is a very new position, because we're not aware of who the person is coming in and what type of experience that they may bring, what we do is we would we would add about 5 years so that between 0 and 5, at least for budgeting purposes, the board is covered with covering a person that will bring in an experience. So we use a 5-year limit as an average salary to use to present to the board as a new position.
And what is that amount?
That's the amount that's here, which is the 72,380.
Today I was told for 5 years, 70,455.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's based on the scale. So it's about, hold on here. It's whatever. Hold on. I'll give you the correct numbers. I have it right here.
No, I mean, we know it's
about
between 70 and
72.
72.
72,380. If
Okay.
you're on 5 years, using
Okay.
the scale, you will be at 72,380, and of course you add benefits because the board is responsible for benefits.
Okay,
So-
because that's the thing that's confusing, is I didn't realize that it was confusing because on the backup it had different numbers, but they were, the 92,646 included benefits. So I was trying to back into that, and then they are adding 5 years just to cover, to be sure that we've got money to pay them. Chances are, when you hire someone for a position like this, you're not going to get a 0. You're going to get, they figure at least 5, and that gives them a ballpark because she has to balance the budget. But let me just kind of wonder, I'm wandering around here because the whole thing brought something to my mind, the executive director, and I thought, well, I don't know how the board feels about it, but I'll throw it out there and see what y'all feel about should it be an employee or should we do a contract? And also, I was asleep at the wheel, I guess, last month. I didn't realize when we approved the job description that we were approving a Director 3 position. That brings me up to, just bear with me, what I found out today that I didn't know. See, I've been around long enough here. I know y'all get tired of hearing that, but I remember we had coordinators 1, 2, 3, the lowest level administrator. We had supervisors 1, 2, 3, and then we had directors 1, 2, 3. Then we had our assistant superintendents, the deputy superintendent, and the superintendent. What I found out that I didn't realize today is that a supervisor 3 and a director 3 start at the same salary. They're the same salary, $66,205. And then I found out a director 2 and a supervisor 2, same salary, $74,305. This is the starting salary. And then when it gets to supervisor 1 and director 1, there is a difference. It's $77,000 for supervisor 1 and $82,775 starting salary for director 1. And I thought to myself, oh, and then I found out, we've got 4 assistant superintendents. Now we've got 2 chiefs. That is a new term to us, but the chiefs make the same they have the same range as assistant superintendents. So we've got 4 assistant superintendents and 2 chiefs, but that's really paying 6 assistant superintendent salaries. And I just got to thinking about this, and then the coordinators 1, 2, and 3 are 48.53, 9, and 59.6. So there is a difference there. But I got to thinking, and I asked Mr. Davis this, and he said, well, it was like this before I got here. It's not my ball game. But I thought something is out of whack here when our directors are making the same thing as supervisors on those levels. It doesn't make sense. Why do we have it that way? And so then I started looking at there was an allocation to delete an accounting assistant, and on the backup it had $36,365, and then it said capital program accountant salary $44,851. Well, what I found out is that the person, because they tell me, Dr. Kemp told me who the person is, but that really doesn't matter. It's looking at it. The person right now makes $55,516 as an accounting assistant. And if we approve this tonight, that salary will go up to $71,760 plus benefits would make it $91.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, the more I dug today, I was on the phone all day. The more I dug, the more I thought something is out of kilter here. And then the other thing is on the secretary increase under our attorney, and this has nothing to do with the people. I dearly love these people, but I'm trying to get some kind of balance in my mind. And y'all can tell me if I'm off my rocker, but, you know, on the backup, it said 36,365, and it would increase to 39,709. Well, that's just not the way it is right now. Just hang on a minute. I've got to get my notes right. Last year, that position paid $34,242. This year it's $35,334 after the step, and then if we do the increase, it would go to, help me, Dr. Legato, if I say this wrong. I believe it would go. What did you tell me? 39,709. What would this? 39,351, and I thought. Then I asked Dr. Legutko, because I was calling around today asking a bunch of nosy questions. I said, well, what level, and this was to move it from a B24 to a B31, is that correct?
That's correct.
B30. And then I asked Dr. Legutko, I said, what do the assistant superintendent secretaries make? What is their band? And they're B24s. And I thought, well, if you've got assistant superintendent secretaries who are on a B24 level, and the attorney's secretary is a B24 right now, and the desire, according to this backup, is to move it to a B31, that would be big increase. So, to try to wrap up, here's what I think is, I told Mr. Davis this isn't a surprise to him. I think our salaries are getting out of kilter from department to department, from one area to the other. I'm talking about from instruction to operations to finance. I don't know about human resources. I don't know. I have to look. I hadn't looked at yours, but all of them. I think when I'm told that this group are all making B23 level, and yet over here everybody's a B24, and then this one wants to be moved to a 31, and then this one's salary is going to be, 71 if we approve. It just. I thought something is out of whack here. It's not in balance. And I'm guessing the year, probably about 25 years ago, we had a firm come in named Ernst & Young. Y'all may have heard of that firm. It's a very well-known firm. And they did a salary study. And in my opinion, it is high time for this board to look at having someone come in and do a legitimate, bona fide salary study, so that someone, not us, we're not financial gurus, and we don't know what everyone is doing in every department, but these people come in and they will actually help this district to try to get a more of a balance in this. I think we are getting to the point where every month we're getting another job description and a name change and a raise in salary, and it creeps up one or two at a time. And I want our people to be paid. And, you know, for instance, look at our support people. Dr. Kemp told me today, I mean, it's getting to the point, just like our bus drivers you were referring to, Dr. Kemp? He said, you know, we hire them, we train them, and they immediately then go to St. John's where they make $2 an hour more.
Our nurses are the same way.
And the nurses. See, that's what I'm talking about. If we had a real, honest review, we must do something with our.
We've talked about that before. We had that discussion, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago.
But it's not. But
we
it's
didn't take
it's getting worse by, you know, from
The
area
last 6 months.
and I think that everybody in every department would buy into this, because we can't show partiality to one area over another area. And if you've got someone who's fighting for every nickel, and then you've got someone who doesn't, it starts getting an imbalance there. I just feel that you know, I don't know anything about the timing or what it would cost, but I asked Dr. Legutko today, I said, you know, how many firms do things like that? I said, I know Ernst & Young is very reputable, and would we go out for an RFP if the board wanted to do that, or how do we go about this? And she said that, you know, if the board is favorable, that she would be glad to look into the process and what we could do. But after looking at these numbers today, I just thought it's time to say, whoa. And let's stop and see what we're doing and try to do it the correct way and be able to pay our employees fairly, and not have Dr. Kemp always saying we cannot keep bus drivers. You know, they're going to have Dr. Kemp driving a bus before it's over with.
Well, that's bargained, so we
Oh,
probably
that's,
shouldn't
I mean,
talk about that.
but I know, but I'm saying that we need some guidance on trying to get this salary schedule straightened out. And I really have a concern about it having, we don't have a deputy superintendent, but we've got 2 chiefs and 4 assistant superintendents. We've got supervisors. We've got a chief who's paid as an assistant superintendent working for an assistant superintendent. And I think they make the same salary or close to it. And then, I mean, it's just, I'm just saying to y'all, I think it's time for us to do something. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. I just had some concerns about all of these things. All right, Mr. Davis.
I think Ms. Carrick.
All right, Ms.
I
Carrick.
mean, I got a lot to say, but
all right,
I'll
Mr.
wait.
Carrick.
Let's have board discussion first.
Yep.
Although I think you're probably going to say we have 1 chief, we might have 2 job descriptions, but
I'll
chief
wait.
of
We got
elementary
chief of staff
ed.
and chief of elementary.
Right. So this caught my eye too. The executive director for the Education Foundation, and I'll tell you what, I applaud you for bringing it because we need it, we really do. But I was a little concerned, and we talked about the salary. I feel is just a little bit elevated. But I think Mrs. Studdard is right that if we did it as an outside contract, kind of like art enrichment, where contracted with an individual, we're not paying benefits then, and maybe we would look at it as maybe a commission type of thing or something. I mean, just open to put something else out there where, you know, if they really are raising $1 million, then, you know, great. But I told you my concerns. I've said it last month when the job description came to us. I said it again at our agenda review that, you know, I'm concerned that, you know, we're a bedroom community and we're not Duval County. We don't have the money they have. We're not St. John's. We don't have the money they have. And, you know, Mrs. Bola stepped into the Education Foundation at a good time when Kathy Schofield was able to use the STEM grant money and all. Prior to that, you know, the Education Foundation, we might have raised, I want to say maybe $70,000 a year, and it all went to mini grants, but it was a lot of work. It was very, very hard, you know, here in Clay County to raise that money. So Ms. Schofield's method was, you know, very smart how she did it. And I would hope that they can continue, you know, something along that line. But I know executive directors with lots of the nonprofits here in Clay County. I don't think any of them are really at the 92,000 mark. You know, I've sit on a board myself, several of them, and I know we're not paying that. Let me just say that without revealing anybody's salaries. So I have concerns about that. And then, of course, the school board attorney's secretary. From day, you know, when this came up both last month and again at our agenda review, we as a board were very specific when we hired Mr. Daggett and when we then had to hire a secretary, what the salary would be at. It was never intended to be at the $36,000. I believe it was a B24, and I thought the starting salary was at $32,000. Not sure how it ended up at the $34,242. So I am not in favor of that at all. I think that's what we as a board had said. I think jumping from a B24 to a B31 is an awful lot. I looked at the job description again that we approved last month, and some of the stuff on it, it seems like that should automatically be part of the job description. Scheduling travel, setting up appointments, doing some review and research on certain things. That seems like that all falls under the job description of a secretary. So I am totally not in favor of that at all. And I really wasn't this capital programs accountant. I'm shocked at that. I'm shocked at the numbers you just presented to us. So I know we probably definitely need to do something with all of this.
Could you repeat the number? I'm sorry. Could you repeat the numbers for the capital program accountant that you said? Because that's not what's on our.
Yeah, well, see, and what I found out today, because the numbers weren't matching up to what's on the backup, and Dr. Gutko, do you want to explain to the board about the base and why it's different?
That's it.
She's got it. She has an explanation of why it is different.
I want to first say I apologize up front for the misrepresentation of both agenda items. What we have done in the past is some of the positions that we do bring to the board, they are new positions. And again, we are not aware of who the staff member is going to be assigned to the position. Therefore, we have to come up with some sort of schedule to look at, to place a value, to say, okay, how much is it that we are going to be responsible for as a board? How much do I need to set aside to cover this position? What I have found out again is that we've been doing that for pretty much all the positions. So again, I have corrected that that problem where I have said that if there is a position that we are bringing to the board and it's a change where you're deleting a position that has a body in it and you're putting it to another level, you need to use the actual salary of the person and where they are actually going to be placed. Because again, you cannot, what we do as far as budgeting for the last several years that I have been here, we have budget based on actual. If there are vacancies, we will use average. And then, of course, when a person is placed in that position, then I will adjust the salary so that I ensure at the end of the year we're not in deficits with salaries. So again, that is I would like to apologize up front to everyone for the change in the differences in the allocation document, and I will let you know moving forward it will be corrected and the proper salaries will be on there. And again, it does include benefits. So the amount is pretty high because it includes the 28% benefits that we are required, the board is required to support.
So what is the actual number that should be under the capital program accountant?
Okay,
Because
practical.
right now it's 44,851.
The amount should be 71,061, which includes, okay, let me go back.
71,760.
The accounting assistant salary is 55,517, benefits 15,545, which equals a total of 71,061.
And
the new capital program accountant will be 71,760 as a salary, $20,093 for benefits, totaling $91,853.
Wow. That's a big difference.
But see, what happened is on the backup, they were putting as though it was the bottom, starting, no years, no carrying no years in, and they were using that. And I mean, I just found this out today because I thought, that just looks strange. And Dr. Legutko explained it to me, and I thought, oh. So I think, if nothing else, I wanted to make sure that y'all were aware, because some of this really surprised me, because I didn't realize what numbers were being used and why.
So I'll just tell you that 20-something months ago, no one pushed back on the superintendent on allocations harder than me. And I questioned what he was bringing and the changes he was making and the positions he was adding. And I remember you directly said to him, Mrs. Studdard, at the board meeting, I'm going to trust you.
Yep.
I'm going to trust you, and that you're going to bring the results. And then last year, we had a similar conversation. I pushed hard on him, and I'm not going to name the specific position because I don't think it's fair. You know, when we talk about teachers, when we have a teacher allocation on there, no one can figure out whose job that is.
Right.
But when we have jobs that are one person in there, it becomes personal to them, and they're still our employees, and we value them.
Absolutely.
So I'm not going to tell you the position, but there was a position last year. I pushed hard on Mr. Davis. I may have even raised my voice on the phone, but then what we came to, but we came to a resolution, and I supported him because he explained it to me. He explained that it wasn't a political situation, that it was truly necessary, and I will say that has proven to be true as well. So my inclination on this is to trust the superintendent's recommendation to this board, because he has 2 years of proven track record of telling us these are the positions and the requirements that I think that are best for the school district, and he has proven those out to be. And I do have experience in business hiring people, and I think you pay for the job. You don't. So if I'm making donuts at Dunkin' Donuts and I'm a doctor, I'm not going to be paid a doctor's salary to make donuts. I need to be paid a donut maker's salary because that's the job I've chosen. But we need to make sure that we are paying the right amounts. And I agree with you. A salary survey could be helpful in your non-bargained areas.
Right.
It becomes much more difficult in your bargained areas.
Right. We can handle that.
But additionally, you know, some of these situations are not, they're support positions, and they've been asked to take on more and more work, and that salary never moved because they were in the administrative ranks.
Right.
And so some of it could be because 10 years ago, somebody added to their job in 2008, 2009, they had job tasks added every year because positions were cut. And I know when I came on the board, both you guys hammered hard on the superintendent at that time about cutting administrative positions. And I think now we are seeing where, at the time, I remember that first year I was on the board, I said, okay, I'll see if this idea works, and I'll support this idea. And a lot of that idea that I supported at that time was cutting in our operations department, which was not called operations at the time. And it hasn't, from what Dr. Kemp is telling us and what Mr. Davis is telling us, that hasn't proven to be fruitful. They've said we've cut too much. And so, you know, what individuals make and what the jobs are, we're not qualified to determine. Right. And whether someone gets a $5,000 increase because their job is different, that's not the same as a raise. That's a promotion. And I would expect that the hiring manager choose the right person. And I said a few meetings ago, I fully expected that these jobs be posted the proper time frame. I remember Mr. Broski at one of the agenda reviews, we had a discussion about how long jobs are posted and how, you know, where they're posted, and that we get applicants. So I think we need to make sure that we as a board are focusing on that and that work, and not on the individual financial amounts. I think they matter, but I do trust the recommendations of the superintendent, and I don't think he has brought us anything that he hasn't proven it's worth. And I was one of the biggest skeptics then.
You know, I think one thing, you know, it doesn't bother me to hire a person or approve an allocation, but I could kick myself for voting for the job description on the executive director for the Education Foundation as a Director 3. I think it should be lower than that.
I think if we're looking at our foundation to continue to do what it's been doing, number one, and that is serving the teachers of our community with grants. They have taken on the additional responsibility. We've talked about the Teacher of the Year event. If we want to bring in more money, we're going to have to find someone who can do this as a full-time job. And it's going to take someone with experience. It's going to take someone who is willing to get out, not just into Clay County. It has to go beyond Clay County. Yes, Clay County is a bedroom community, but we have to get into Duval County. We have to get into St. Johns County. And we have to get some of the money that's going to their foundations as well, because there's a lot of money out there to be had. But we don't have anyone at this point in time who can, on a full-time basis, take that on. And in that position, we also agreed that once they made, and we said this was going to be a one-year position.
1 year?
1 year.
Yeah.
And after that 1 year position, we were going to evaluate, and ideally, the person in this position is going to garner enough money for the foundation so that it will support their own, and in essence be a contract sort of situation. It will support their own salary and virtually benefits. And that's a lot of money. And you can see exactly how much money it's going on here. Mm-hmm. And the question came up from you, Ms. Karkas, well, don't we have the money now? Sure, we've got a little bit of money sitting in that foundation, but that means that that goes all to a salary, and there's not even enough for that. I mean, we're in the process now of giving the grants and or evaluating the grant applications, and the more money we can give to those grants, and they're $500 grants, but they make an impact in our classrooms. We need somebody who will be able to go out and get that money. Ms. Schofield has done a phenomenal job, and she's taken on a completely different position that's still going to be benefiting our foundation. Mm-hmm. But it's going to, I hate to say it this way, but it takes money to make money. In a foundation situation, we're going to need to hire someone who's got experience, who's got knowledge, and who's able to go and say, we need your money, we need your funding, we need your support for Clay County education. I'm not certain how else. I don't know if this is the magic.
Did you say you were getting ready to award the grants?
Mm-hmm.
And how much money do y'all have to award to these grants? About? I know you don't know.
We don't have as much this year as we had in the past.
But I mean, how
last
much?
year, I want to say somewhere between 50 and 100,000.
Okay.
50,000, but it's not all available for the grants because some of that money. One of the things that I've learned is that you use the money that you get also in a matching fund organization or matching fund opportunity from the state to be able to support the grants that we get, because some of this money is earmarked. Mm-hmm. The money is going to come in, it's earmarked. We just, Orange Park Medical Facility, I'll use that as an example.
Like a pass-through.
We had, a whole list of ways that money is earmarked already. Right. The state, in their infinite wisdom, cut back on the amount of matching grants this year. So we don't have the same amount of money that we've had in the past.
How much did y'all bring in with Ms. Schofield's help?
I don't have my numbers with me.
I mean, are we talking $1 million?
No.
200,000?
No, you're talking $50,000 to $100,000. Nassau County, which is smaller than us, and in a real nice base, they're another bedroom community of Duval County. They're well above that. They have, I believe, their own director, if I'm not mistaken.
But you're saying.
I don't have
we
all
only
of
got
the
50 or
actual
60,000
money
last
in front
year?
of me.
I think it was really more than that, 50 or 60.
We had
I think
more
you
than
did
that.
2 rounds of grants last year too, didn't you?
No, we just did the one.
Just did the one.
I don't have the numbers in front of me, Ms. Studdard. I'm sorry.
But if we're paying with benefits 92.6, 46, and we only brought in 50 or 60 last year, I'm trying to see how this works.
We were up to, I want to say we were closer to 100,000, but much of that money was earmarked for special areas. We got 50,000 alone from Amazon.
That's awesome.
And
That's
that was
great.
matched, if I'm not mistaken.
That's great.
So that's 100,000 right there. And then I'm trying to think of the other grants. So it was probably
ma'am.
above that.
Probably some
But I don't know the exact number that we gave to.
I'm just trying to see, you know, which, so this person would, on a step 5, which is what they're using to be sure they can pay for the person.
Which is a
they would be
plan,
making the salary
but
of
not necessarily as high, it may not
She
necessarily
said
be
step
that high
5,
as what you
well,
said.
we're not going to have someone that's
Well-
never had a minute's experience. She says they bring them in at step 5 just to think they can pay for them. So the salary would be $70,455 with bringing them in at step 5, and then $22,191 benefits for the $92,646. So I just wonder. I mean, I want to get a good quality person, but I also don't want to pay them more than I have to.
I understand.
I agree. I mean, we
So
do
I-
need a full-time person, but
Well,
I
I think-
do think that this is a little bit more.
I think what Mr. Davis said about being competitive at the state level, I mean, that's our goal for all of our salaries. We want to compete, we want to pay well. And I think, honestly, when we had this discussion 2 or 3 years ago about having an accounting company come in and review our salary schedule, we were so worried that we wouldn't be able to afford what they recommended.
Right.
And that was why we didn't go through with it then. So I think that what we're arguing over here would probably be a moot point once you have an accounting company come in and tell you, nope, that's what they're worth.
I mean,
So-
really, that's my point.
Truthfully.
I don't know where we're off base.
Maybe that's what we
That's
need
what
to
I
do.
don't know.
Well, I'm not opposed to having that study, but to me, that's not a reason to hold this process up.
Right.
Because
That's
we've
the
got
concern.
statewide that this is an average salary for that position. We know that.
How do we know that?
Yeah.
Well, if
so-
you trust what
and
Mr.
our
Davis is telling
superintendent, don't forget, our superintendent also has had, has demonstrated to us that when he has thought a job was higher than it should have been, he moved it back down, much to the chagrin of the person who was in it. So I think that,
You got to tell me after the meeting who you're talking about.
but I think that so I do have the confidence that in the event that a salary survey came back and said these were out of line, I just have to tell you, it's not going to happen. What's going to happen is we're going to find out that all of our employees are underpaid. That's why you have employees leaving and taking other jobs, and that's true from whoever's the lowest paid employee up to the highest paid employee, and but at any rate, that's for a different discussion. We didn't take a motion on this earlier, so I guess we really shouldn't have had discussion. But
That discussion, right?
Oh, we didn't, did we? We got so busy talking.
Ms. Studdard, I think Mr. Davis had something he wanted to add.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and no, it's okay, and I appreciate the conversation. First and foremost, 30 days ago, I asked Dave Brodsky to do a study analysis of everything in this organization financially, and everyone's right. What you're going to say is, while you have concerns, you're going to say that you don't pay enough to employees. That's what's going to happen. That's what you're going to say. You're going to spend a lot of money for me to say, I told you so. This is what's going to do. But if we need it in documentation, we can get that. I can tell you, $150,000 to $175,000 a year, $150,000, $175,000 a year, $100,000 a year. They're worth that when you go out and you ask people to do a review. I'm just telling you, they're getting paid nothing to that in this organization. And I'm also a little confused about why we're asking about what we approved 21 months ago with my org chart with my leaders. And I thank you, Ms. Condon, because I have elevated so many dimensions in this organization that proves that we have moved every facet academically, instructionally, culturally within Clay County. And now we have a question about it, which I'm really concerned about today. You know, I don't put anything in front of you do not believe will move the needle in this organization and be competitive, okay? You are looking at positions. You're not looking at people. You're not looking at experience. You're looking at positions, and your job is to determine whether or not those positions are needed within this organization. It is my job as a superintendent of schools to prove whether or not we need that position within the organization. In these cases, I agree, you know, to a point, not to be disrespectful. The attorney doesn't work for Addison Davis. I don't sign his documents. I don't review, and I understand one of the employees in the organization is mine, but indirectly, it works for Mr. Daggett. It's your decision of whether or not you elevate that position. I only bring the executive director because out of 83%, to say it again, in the state of Florida, use that, and they pay him between $70 and $100 grand without benefits. It is your will to determine whether or not, and I say this on September the 25th, and I say that date because that's agenda review date, that everyone can call me and ask me about the questions about what this should be. I have had multiple conversations during the 10 to 12 day windows when this board would say, Addison, I don't like X, Y, and Z, or I think we need to change it, and I change it because it's just a better model than I don't think about, and you think about it in the organization. Many of you exercise that right. And then lastly, we talk about the accountant position, okay? That position is a B24, but that position only deals with one vertical from the accountant perspective. Now they go to 6 verticals where they take a $20 million of working in assets and they double that to be $45 million. In the $45 million, they look at PICO funding, they look at general LCIF funding. When the mill money comes in, they'll manage that mill money because it's directly linked to facilities and safety, but the bulk of it. And then we'll look at safety and security. It looks at impact fees. So instead of coming back and saying, board, I need an additional coordinator or additional director to do the job, which may cost you $80,000 or $100,000, we ask to elevate the position and pay the individual to compensate in a way that drives the work and all of the resources they will have, the same way I did with the director of safety who just added on 30 positions to his role and responsibility. Last thing, and I'm sorry.
Davis, I want to commend you in the middle of all this because truthfully, you have moved our budget in the right direction
Thank you. I was about to go to that.
at every turn. So I don't have concerns that you're spending money wastefully. So don't feel like you have to defend yourself to me because I think that you've been very responsible with the budget that
Thank you. And,
we
and
have.
through the chair, that's exactly what I was about to say. And thank you. Every time I peel the onion in the last 22 months, I find something. And each of you have been a partner for helping me find that. Raises, insurance, right curriculum, support staff. It doesn't matter. We have worked together to make sure we become healthy. In no point at all have I ever demonstrated irresponsibility for funding, ever. All right, I'm sorry.
Can I address that?
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, your tone, whoa. You know what? We're the school board, and this is our responsibility to the voters to sit up here and discuss something when we don't agree with it. And I don't know about Mrs. Stutter, but I did call you, and we have talked about this.
I agree.
So to sit here and say agenda review was 10 days ago is not accurate. We have talked about this. And I have complete faith in you also, and I have supported you and backed you every single thing that has come to us. So to bark at us the way you just did, I don't appreciate. And I find it somewhat offensive.
So
let me finish. We are the board, and we have every right to discuss something when we don't agree with it, whether it be an administrator or an executive secretary or the executive director or whatever that position is that you bring to us. We have the right and the authority to address it. So please don't yell at us.
And through the chair, so I would say if you dismiss my passion versus yelling, there's two different things.
I heard passion.
Thank you.
I heard passion.
And we can agree to disagree. I'm fine with that. We move forward, and you have supported me, and I appreciate it. And I hope that everyone would support an effective leader in that work, in their work. And but for me, I take it very personal when we get to a point where we say, and trust me, this conversation wasn't directed towards you, Ms. Karakis. When we talk about, I have concerns about the org chart and what we're doing and what we're developing. My phone's, you have my number. I respond to everyone. And, again, I'm sorry if you feel that I was being disrespectful to this board. It was not. It's my passion. I care about my job. I care about what I do, and I will fight every day for moving this district in the right direction. So I apologize if you took that the wrong way. For me, I'm going to continue to stay passionate and excited about my work.
Well, and we're going to continue to look at the budget because that's our responsibility. The funding, the dollars, that comes to us.
Okay.
And through the chair, you should.
Okay. No more.
Good.
We are here to work together for the students in Clay County.
Mrs. Studdard, can I make a motion that we call the question and move
I
forward?
think that would be appropriate.
You need a
Well,
second when you
first we
call
need-
it, so someone has to second.
I'll second it.
So I moved to call the question and she seconded.
Okay.
And it takes a supermajority to approve calling the question.
So calling the question, there'll be no more discussion, right?
Right.
Correct.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Gilhousen, a second by Ms. Bola to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Nope.
Nope. You want to continue talking?
Yep.
Okay, well, they've out.
I don't like leaving
thought
things
you
like.
voted I voted aye. I said, let's
Oh,
call
well,
it and move
4-0.
forward.
That's
Yeah,
it.
let's
All right.
move on.
No more discussion.
We're
I
done.
can't say
So
anything else,
I
so.
will make a motion to approve this proposed
I'd rather talk it out.
allocation changes.
Wait, we have a motion to call the question. Well, we got that 4-1.
So we have to vote
and that-
electronically?
That was.
She's saying we have to vote
Oh,
electronically.
wait, let me get back out of this. It was 4-1. I was the dissenter. That was to call the question. Okay. Now I'll entertain a motion on the item.
I'll move approval with the deletion of SB 9000, SUP 9016, and FAC 9020.
Wait, let me pull that up so I know what you're doing. Just a minute. I had it pulled up and I had to go back to vote.
It's SB 9000. Look in the left side school under that. SUP 9016 and FAC 9020. And it's the three that we've been discussing.
All right. 9,000, 916, 9016, and 9020. Now, what are you,
Deleting them off of the proposed allocation
are
changes.
you deleting the additions or what about the deletions?
Remove it completely. It's that same number covers the addition and deletion. That's why I
think
gave
she
just the
needs a
number.
second before we discuss.
Well, we're not actually discussing. She's trying to figure out what the motion
What
is.
your motion is.
Yeah, just, I want to look at this. Okay. All right, there was a motion by Ms. Karakis to approve this with deletion of those numbers. Is there a second? I'll pass the gavel and second it. Don't have to, all right. Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no.
No.
Motion is defeated 3-2 with, well, let's see, 2-3 with Ms. Gilhousen, Ms. Bola, and Ms. Condon dissenting. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Ms. Gilhousen, second by Ms. Condon, and you want to state your motion?
I move,
I move approval of item C11.
Okay, all right. We have a motion by Ms. Gilhousen, second by Ms. Condon. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
No, take that back. I did not vote. Scratch that. I did not mean to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
No.
No. Motion carries 3-2 with Ms. Kirikas and Ms. Studdard dissenting. Okay, next we have school board attorney remarks.
I didn't see it.
Oh, wait, we didn't get it to vote yet electronically. Do you want us, Ms. Bush, do you want us to wait or? Let's see. I'm trying to think which way I voted. On the first one, I voted yes. I don't know. All right. We did so many backwards and forwards here. Who knows? Okay. And then has the second one come up? Are you covered me? Okay. All right. School board attorney remarks.
Just for the record, I bit my tongue during the discussions of the allocation adjustment for the school board attorney assistant, and I'll just rest on the materials that I submitted to the board prior to the meeting. I want to remind the board chair and the board that I think we were shooting for a policy workshop to pick up that lovely bit of business. And I was hoping that we could see if we can set that sooner rather than later, just to knock out section 1, chapter 1 of the school board policies, and then move on to maybe the risk management policy model, to adopt one or two or adopt your own, and then to human resources as well.
What are the wishes of the board? Do y'all want to set?
I'd rather wait till after the next election and our new board is in place.
That's waiting until November 20th, when we have our next.
Our next board meeting is November the 1st.
Which is before the election.
Right.
And that would mean that our next meeting following that would be November 20th.
Which will be a short, yeah.
And I would rather meet at some time before that. I had requested a workshop also to review the superintendent's salary. And I would like to do that. I had asked for within the 2 months, meaning before the November 1st meeting.
I
don't have a preference. It doesn't matter to me whether we do it.
I think on the policy, I don't think it would hurt to go ahead and do that. The other one, Ms. Bola, I've had long talks with the superintendent about that. I would prefer to hold off on that for a month or two. And I'll let him share with you. I mean, that's my opinion right now. But if the rest of the board wants to do a workshop on it right now, we can do it.
Just to be clear, he can't share with her what you told him. That's a violation of sunshine.
Yeah, I mean, I would, my preference is to hold off on that for a little bit. But if the board wants to go ahead and have this workshop, it's fine with me.
I'm just pointing out that it's our policy. We should have done it 11 months ago.
What's our policy?
Our policy is to evaluate his salary annually. and we did not do it in the first year. And you keep saying 21 and 22 months. It's been 23 months since you've been our
Our
superintendent.
policy is to evaluate his,
His salary annually.
why would we, okay.
In the past, it was done with that stipend, whatever it was called, the special
Supplement.
number.
Supplement.
Supplement, pardon me. With the supplement, and it was just brought in when allocations were made or when, I have no idea when.
We weren't told about it.
You know,
It just
Well,
happened.
but it was there, and it was a
It
school board
happened.
decision, and it happened.
No, school board
So-
didn't ever hear about it. We didn't know about it.
I beg to differ. That I know that it was brought up in former meetings. And in fact, you all brought it up and quit doing it with the last superintendent. So just saying.
Not this, you all.
No, I'm just saying, the
Oh,
board.
y'all,
I'll
let's
say the
be
board in
nice.
general. The board in general
Okay. If
chose
it's-
not to, yeah.
Do y'all-
And I know that it was discussed previously as well.
And there was a lot of history
So
there.
I have a suggestion on that note. If we're going to talk about having a review of our salary schedule, could we not make that part of the workshop that Ms. Bola wants?
Makes perfect sense.
That
Well,
makes a lot
we
of
don't,
sense,
We don't
yes.
need a workshop to review the salary schedule. When we get to school board requests, what I want to know is, are y'all interested in having a salary study done by, I don't know if we do, she would have to find out if we do RFPs or how you go about it, but to bring us more information about, how the process would work. If y'all, I wanted to know, we can't vote
That's
on
why I think
anything.
it would be great to have
After
a
the
workshop.
study's
To
done.
discuss it.
Do you mean
I mean,
after the
to-
study's done?
Well, to discuss if we're going to have a study, don't we want to know the price, what that's going to all look like before
Well,
we agree to do
we
it?
probably wouldn't want to know until, they probably would need to know the scope of what we want before they'd start quoting us prices. They need to kind of know what we want them to do, but we could, Dr. Legutko, you look like you want to say something. Help us out here
I know they're not cheap. I worked for a firm
that did something like that.
almost 15 years ago that did one, and it was about $90,000.
If the board would please, Superintendent through the chair, what we can do is I can go ahead and investigate, to find out some information, and when I do find information, I can bring it through to the superintendent, and he can let you know what we've found out, and then at that point decide whether or not you would like to have the workshop to decide whether or not you want to move forward with the study.
That's probably a good idea.
I
If we
think
get a
that's
little
great
bit
idea.
of
And then we
information.
could
I'll do
roll
the
superintendent-
investigation.
We could
Yes.
roll the discussion of the
Yeah.
superintendent's supplement with that.
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
think we could handle all
Agreed.
that in one workshop.
That sounds like a plan. Okay. Is everybody in agreement on that? Okay. And what else was it? Anybody else got anything?
That was it.
Okay. Oh, what about the policy? Trying to get, do y'all want to go ahead and set a date for the policy workshop? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the new board or old board, I don't think on that.
Just moving ahead.
But I hate for us to drag it out. I mean, I think we can finish up the first section rapidly, and then we were going to go to HR and try to clean up HR.
So do you guys want to look at something in October for that?
Suits me.
Do we look at the end of October? Is that too close to the next meeting? Or
We
Yeah.
have the workshop review on is it on the 30th?
23rd?
23rd, that's right.
23rd?
Yeah.
19th is going to be busy if we're helping with books.
Yeah, that weekend is the book.
The 20
So do you want to look at the week before that?
22nd?
You want to look at that week?
Well, the 23rd is our agenda workshop.
Right.
Yeah.
22nd, 24th, 25th, 26th.
Monday's out, Wednesday's out of that week.
My Monday and Wednesday.
How about
are out.
Thursday, the 25th?
That works.
Huh?
I can't do Thursday the
can't do?
25th. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Is there a certain day of every week that's?
What about-
No, my schedule is kind of all over the
Yeah,
place
mine
right
too.
now. But I can do Monday or Wednesday that week.
I can't.
What about the
I can't
following
either.
week? Are you done? Are you busy Monday
Into
and Wednesday
November?
the following week?
I'm
as
busy
well?
every Monday.
And Wednesday?
We mentor,
Right, no, I know, but Wednesdays as well?
not every Wednesday.
What about Friday?
Are you into November?
Or
Wait,
Friday, the
the
26th?
31st is Halloween. You're not
No,
gonna.
no, no, the 26th. It's
20
a Friday.
I'm not available that day.
I don't
No.
want to do Friday.
Okay, what about the week before that?
How about,
Like October 15th?
I'm not available that day.
I
Sorry.
can't do the
16th
15th
or
or the
15th.
16th.
No.
back up to
I
the
can't
11th?
do the 17th.
What
I
about
can't
the
do the
11th?
17th
That's a
either.
Thursday.
I can't do the 19th.
I can't do the 10th, I can't, no.
Okay, so November
That's
it
the
is. So
problem.
let's go into
We're
November.
going to have to go late anyway, okay.
Do what?
We're into November.
We're into November already.
So our meeting's the 1st,
Our
right?
meeting's the 1st, yes. So we're not going to get that done anyway before the
You
1st.
said Thursday, the 25th is out.
I tried.
Somebody did.
I can't do the 25th.
Okay.
I can't do the 25th either. We're talking about October still.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about when 31st is Halloween? You got to get ready. You got to get Brantley ready.
He's got a very extensive Elvis costume.
Yes, I know. I expect to see pictures.
You will.
Okay.
So we're into the first week of November.
What about Tuesday, the 30th?
Tuesday's Rotary Day.
But I mean, we're not
We
going
could
to
come
meet
in
all
the
day.
afternoon. We could come in the afternoon.
Or in the morning.
Or morning to
So
11:30.
We'll just
or
put our quitting time when you need
It'd have to be the morning. I can't do in the afternoon or even the evening.
Well,
could
can we
do-
do
we
it?
did like
Could we do it
9
from
to
8:30 to
11.
11:30? Would that? Will you be able to get it?
8:30 to
8:30 to 11:30 on the
30th?
on the 30th. And
Are you here, Mr. Dagida?
are you going to be able to make it?
I'll make myself available.
Okay.
I'll be,
All right,
I'll be a
8:30
little
to
bit late,
11:30,
but I'll
and
be
this is
here.
policy. Excuse me.
I'll be
Policy.
late, but I'll be there.
Okay, policy review. And are we going to?
Can you make 9 o'clock? Should we make it 9 so Betsy can make it?
Well, we
really,
have to leave at
I'm
8:30.
hesitant to say it, but I'll say it because it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I have my mammogram at 7 a.m. that day in Gainesville, and
Oh,
that has been rescheduled 4 times.
Right.
And it takes
Right.
6 weeks to get an appointment.
Yep,
So,
no.
You have our
Keep your
permission to
appointment.
be
You can
late.
Be late.
You can be
and
late.
for all of you,
And I don't envy
get your
you.
mammograms.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Don't look
And what did
forward
we
to
say,
that.
8:30?
Okay,
On the
8:30
30th?
to 11:30.
30th?
And
Accounts
then
payable?
you want to go to the accounts payable room where we were?
That works.
And if that's not available, let us know and we'll find another. I found out Dr. Gutto has a nice conference room that we could utilize. It's bigger
Oh, no,
than
it's
where
busy
we
that
meet.
day.
There's that one beside the superintendent's office, too.
That's too little.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, policy review on the 30th from 8:30 to 11:30 in accounts payable.
Sounds
We got
good.
one thing done and then we'll work on the other.
Good job.
Okay. Now, school board member remarks.
Did-
I'll start with Ms. Condon. None?
I have none this evening.
Okay, Ms. Caracas?
I don't really have anything. I just want to kind of put a shout out there. Mr. McCauley and I were at a SEDNet event Monday night with Zach Gibson from the governor's office and Kathy Lawrence and Terry Roth. And it just amazes me what that department does. And I don't think people even realize, Mr. McCauley, Ms. Roth, and Ms. Kathy Lawrence, what you guys really do and what you see. And it just gives me chills. And so I won't go into, what I stayed for the See You at the Top event that they had and heard some really interesting stories that really touch your heart. And so I just want to applaud you guys for the hearts that you have for our kids because you're doing great things over there. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Bola?
Leads into my book.
Oh, dear
Miss
Lord.
Miss Roche mentioned before about filling up a bucket. And for those of you who are not familiar with this book, How Full Is Your Bucket? Miss Caracas just filled your bucket. She put a drop into your bucket, which is very cool. And it's a children's book. It was given to me by Miss Cornegie when we opened Argyle Elementary. And this was something that we built on throughout the years. I mean, I was there for 11 years. And it was, are you filling someone's bucket or are you taking those drops out of someone's bucket? And that's exactly what I think we do on a day-to-day basis. We're trying to fill the buckets of our teachers. We're trying to fill the buckets of our students. And I went and had my bucket filled this month and had a blast. We had an invitation from Tynes to come see the science lab. So I went to Tynes to see the science lab and got to be a student again. It was awesome. Went to a couple of music concerts this week. Ridgeview High had their chorus concert Tuesday night, which was phenomenal. I provided each of you with a cookie that I won from the band silent auction at Wilkinson Junior High. These were made by a former, if I'm not mistaken, Nancy Heiskell is a former home economics teacher, I think, here in Clay County. And she donated these as part of what phenomenal cookies, right? Yes. Our officers, I have a couple for each of you, by the way, for a thank you. So,
Mrs. Bola, that book is available in an adult version.
I'm not surprised. It's a great book. It is a great book.
It's through the Gallup organization.
Thank you. Thank you. Berg Strong at Middleburg was awesome. The two high schools, Fleming Island High School and Middleburg High School, joining together to do the Star Spangled Banner. Absolutely spine tingling. It was awesome. And just everything this month has just been great, and I'm looking forward to another fun month. So thank you for the invitations. Ms. Rochade invited me over to talk about a couple of problems and to go to the pep rally. We had a blast. I mean, it's great getting into the schools. So thank you all.
Well, I'll just touch on the one event that we attended together this morning.
Oh, that's right.
The ribbon cutting for the sensory room at Fleming Island Elementary. Such a phenomenal way to meet kids where they are and help them to achieve their highest potential, and that every kid can learn. It just was a really neat experience. I wish that we could have one in every school, but hats off to Fleming Island Elementary. They worked really hard to raise the money to get that, and they engaged the whole student body to do it through various activities, which I think is really neat. That having had a child there, he was part of that. So that this entire student body came around to support a group of kids at the school who need that extra measure, I think it speaks a lot to the community there. So it's a neat thing to be a part of, and I echo your sentiments. It's been a fun month, and I'm looking forward to the next.
I'm sorry, I have to add one more thing. I apologize, but I said I would do a plug for JSO Guild. The JSO Guild has grants for teachers who are doing anything with music. It doesn't matter if you're an English teacher, a history teacher, music teacher, whomever, but they do $500 grants, and the deadline is coming up soon. Following our event this morning, I went to a instrument zoo at SBJ and had a blast. Can't play the piccolo anymore, but it was still fun trying. So, but seriously, if you're interested in a grant, look that up. All of the principals should have received information about it, so it should be in the principal's hands. Thank you. Sorry.
One other thing I got to do this month that was fun. I know I got to chime in one more thing. Sorry,
We
but
need to get our calendars out.
I got the opportunity, instead of to be the one to read to the children, I got to go in and listen for fluency, and that was quite an experience. And I can't say enough about what our teachers do every day with our kids. It was exhausting to me. I was at my child's school, and it was exhausting to me to sit through and listen to them read page after page, and to know that the teachers are doing that in the middle of the day with 1,000 other things that they have to accomplish, and that one-on-one time with students is happening. And it was encouraging to see, and it really gave me a deeper appreciation for what our teachers do day in and day out.
Are y'all through? You sure y'all don't have anything else to say? Okay. When you first go to your first school board conference, and they say to you, if you ever get that feeling of, what am I doing here? What do I really that matter? What am I doing in this job? They said, go recharge your batteries, go out to a school. Well, y'all are perfect examples. You got your batteries charged, and I think that you got your buckets filled. And the only thing I've got to say is Cub Scout Pack 25. I went to speak to those kids, and they're fourth and fifth graders, they were not bashful about asking questions, and then their parents started asking questions, but that recharged my batteries. That's what I need. Once in a while, you know, go to a school, go get around the kids, and you know what you're here for, because we're here about the kids and providing them a good quality education. And we have an excellent superintendent who is going to make doggone sure that we're going to provide them a good education. We're going to give next door neighbors a run for their money, right? Okay, meeting is adjourned.